I hear everything one way, even though they say I don't pay attention. I do everything the same as the way I did it last time. Still you see my life is pitiful, that I'm selfish and predictable. Though I have no voice to disagree, I don't wanna change. Give me time to I know you want what's best for me, but leave well enough alone. Never get wrong with regret. Letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at me now. I'm the next you.
Good morning and welcome to Dad Talk. Today it is the weekend, and if you're here and you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. We got a conversation that you guys requested us to keep going, and we're probably going to be having this conversation a good bit more because we want to make sure every one of your calls are listened to, the good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, and I've got a ton of them. And if you want to get your words in on this, you've got some thoughts on the subject. Should there be receipts? Should you lose your driver's license? Dude, we could go in so many different directions with this. How much is too much child support? Tomorrow, I'm going to have an expert on. We're going to start off talking about the Kanye West case. No matter what side you are on that, we're going to talk about the problems with the amounts that we're seeing in child support. And we're also going to go into, he is the nation's leading expert on paternity fraud. Believe it or not, guys, there's a lot of these guys out there that are paying child support for kids that they found out was never theirs in the first place. Imagine that. It sucks enough going through this system, but imagine being a dad that shouldn't have had to be in this system. Now you got in a relationship with the kid. Now you're not going to be able to see the kid, and you're still going to pay for it. Guys, if you put your name on that dotted line, this is the things we need to be telling our men. And that's the reason why these conversations are so important. So again, thank you for being here. Like, share, and subscribe it so other people get to see it. It does nothing if we can't get it out there to the people that need to see it. With that said, Mr. Dwayne, we're doing it again.
Good morning.
Yeah, dude, you got your coffee?
Well, I'm more of a Mountain Dew Zero guy.
Mountain Dew. Okay.
Well, I'm an old coder hacker from back in the day, so Mountain Dew is my thing.
But, you know, it's usually one or the other. There's some people that do Coke, but it usually is coffee or Mountain Dew. It seems like that's the drink of choice in the morning time is the Mountain Dew. Guys, tell us, what is it that you drink on? You know, yesterday we did a 2.5-hour show. We're not going to go that long today, but we're going to try to get to as many calls. We may. So you guys, you got somebody in here waving at you, Dwayne.
Hey, Heather. Hi.
I got in the comments coming in too, guys. Bring those in. I guess that's a good place to start with some of these comments. Mr. Justin Crossan said, I believe they should have to show receipts because ever since I had my first child and once we were separated, she got hooked to drugs and constantly would use her child support to pay for tobacco. Dwayne, should there be receipts for child support? I think we talked a little bit about that yesterday.
Yeah, we did talk about it. I mean, some states, a few states have actually, Delaware being primary one, I believe Georgia does as well, requires receipts so you can actually get a listing of what child support's being used for. Of course, you know, the receipts and all that stuff. I mean, it's great to say that and have that. But again, with the way child support's been set up and what it's turned into over the decades, it's almost asking the wrong question. I mean, should receipts be required? Yes. Should the debit card that 95% of all the recipients have? Well, one, it already has the already has the ability to do that. But should should there be on there, and should they require it only? It's only can be accepted to buy, Pampers, wipes, things for the child. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a short answer.
Yeah, and we talked about this yesterday, man. A lot of people think you're not supposed to talk about child support because people just get so bent up over the money. It's just guys that don't want to pay child support. Out of all those calls that we had yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same way today, there wasn't a single guy that said, I don't want to pay child support. I don't want to take care of my kid. They said, I don't want to pay for my ex's lifestyle, and I would like to make sure that my kid's being taken care of, because guess what? I pay, and they still show up looking raggedy and not taken care of. And I think that's a pretty good reason to have a voice on this subject.
Oh, definitely. I mean, all the people that called in, the people that are, paying child support, want to pay child support, involved in this, which I believe is the majority of the male community. Again, just talking about primarily males, the ones that are paying child support. Women pay child support too and are involved in the process. But we're the ones that are concerned and want to talk about this and get things changed. The deadbeats, the deadbeat parents that are out there, they're not watching this show.
Nope.
They're not concerned with that. They're doing whatever they're doing. We're here trying to make change.
Most of them aren't paying child support. It's crazy. They got these stereotypes, but stereotypes are out there for a reason. A lot of times stereotypes are true. And it seems like in this community, if you're one of the guys that's trying, you're the one that's going to get the battle. And then the ones that don't want anything to do with their kids or whatever, the real deadbeats, nothing happens. They just take off because they usually had an empathetic person on the other side that said, you know what? I don't need it. I'll take care of them. If you don't want to be here, I'll take care of them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, kind of the myth that we kind of dispelled yesterday, was it high 60? I think it's 68% of all the child support debt is owed by people that earn nothing, less than $10,000 a year. That's the majority of that. And then the other myth, again, looking at the data from the government, is that if you look at men versus women, men pay their child support more often than women do. So the deadbeat dad myth isn't there. It is what it is, but those are the facts. Yeah.
So it seems like we got a comment from the other side, though. Dwayne, maybe you get some thoughts on this. Mary Emmel said, my ex never paid child support. My ex-son-in-law is $70,000 in arrears. His state, Virginia, won't answer requests from my daughter's state, Florida. At one point, Virginia deleted all of his arrears without notifying Florida. That's the thing. If the parent that's paying child support or that you're trying to get it from, you have to do it in their state, not yours. I mean, you can start it in your state, but it's going to go through wherever they live. And have you ever heard of a reason why arrears would just be deleted?
The only thing I can think of, I mean, arrears do get deleted, by agreement. If they unilaterally did that, that's an interesting one. Again, in the research that I've done into the Title 4D area, which again, there's so many rabbit holes you can go down.
Yep.
But trying to sum it all up in a bite-sized discussion here. Again, the different states, they're rewarded on their performance of child support collections or rearages and things like that. And the assumption here is that the calculation, it made more sense to delete the arrearage out so they could continue getting that the incentives, because year after year they have to do better or they lose. I believe it may have changed, probably not, but the states have to do better each and every year on those performance measures, or they lose all of it.
Right.
So, I mean, not the best accountant in the world, but my guess is they looked at it, determined that the $70,000 of the amount, they weren't going to ever be able to pay it. They needed to wipe that using good old GAAP procedure. They probably pushed it off to the side, got it out of that equation, and which brought down the overall amount, which means they can still get their incentives. Again, the state's kind of like in poker, the dealer. He's always going. The house is always going to win. There was the saying I was trying to come up with. They're going to figure out a way, whatever it is. They're going to figure out a way to make sure that they win. So I hate to say it, that was probably it. And I'm sure that money was needed by the child. This goes back to the states, and I know I caution myself, but the states don't really care about the children. It's all about welfare recovery.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. They're not there for the best interest of the children. They will
No.
say that. So, it's interesting. Let's go to both sides of the aisle. And guys, if you've got any comments, questions, comments, or maybe you want to tell a little bit about your story, what you're going through, we need that. Okay. So that people can hear what's going on. And we got several of them. We're going to get to as many as we can today, but I've got a few subjects. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. But I got a few subjects and I want you to hear me and so I know which one you're going to be talking about. Okay. If you want to talk about child support, question, comment, your story, driver's licenses, should there be receipts? I'm paying too much. They're taken out of both my jobs, whatever. Just get on there and leave us a voicemail. We will get those. We're also going to be talking about Kanye West story tomorrow. If you got some questions, concerns, or comments on that, $200,000 a month in child support. Is it too much? Is it no big deal because he's a celebrity? We want to hear from that. But start that off. If you're calling about that one, just say Kanye West in the voicemail and then start telling me. That way I know how to separate them. The other side, and I want these as soon as possible. Anybody that is paying child support for a kid that they found out wasn't theirs, or you found out that the child wasn't yours, we want to get into that subject as soon as possible. So if you'll leave me those, people need to hear about this. I mean, could you imagine, Dwayne, and start that off by saying paternity fraud, then leave your voicemail. Let me get it out because I'm about to go on the other side. But could you imagine, Dwayne, going through this system like you have already, but say next week you find out that child wasn't yours?
Oh.
What would those thoughts be going, or what thoughts would be going through your head? Could you have, I don't even want to imagine what that would be like.
My wife and I, one of our guilty pleasures, we watch Cheaters and we watch those type of shows and, paternity fraud, which by the way, reported, and this is what we know, is 30% paternity fraud. That's the national statistic. It happens a lot. But as far as what I couldn't imagine if both of my bio boys weren't mine. Thankfully, they act just like me. Sorry, world. There with mine, there's no denying those two. And my bonus child, she acts a lot like me. So we have our days where we wonder is she biologically mine? We don't know, but. I couldn't imagine being told and then, still having to deal with the system. There's again, so many stories, people going to jail for failure to pay child support on a child the state knows is not theirs. They still go to jail because states have written in the law. Again, I guess blackjack or poker is the way that the house always wins. They've inserted law that, and again, it may be different for different states as far as the time frame, but you have 2 years to confirm that paternity, or I'm sorry, not confirm, question it. And if you don't, it's assumed that child's yours. In Texas, and I'm assuming most other states, if you get a divorce while your wife is pregnant, that child is yours. And then you have to go through heck and back in order to get the DNA test and get that changed around. Again, the state doesn't care. They just want their money. It's welfare recovery.
They got somebody on the hook and they're profiting from it. They're not letting that go. If you can go find that bio dad and he'll sign his name on the dotted line, they'll let you stop it, but not until, and I don't know, they might not let you stop it if they go into his funds and see he makes
a financial statement.
Yeah, they'll get a financial statement and be like, no, dude, you know what? It might not be your kid biologically, but it's your kid. Let's fight and try to get you every other weekend or something. It's just the way the state works, and it's sad. Not trying to guilt you here. I promise I'm not, because I've watched Cheaters too. But have we not desensitized with our entertainment these issues? I say the narrative of the deadbeat dad. Okay, if you go on most shows, he's either going to be dead, a deadbeat, an alcoholic, drug addict. And that's the portrayal that they've put out there on dads in our entertainment. Guys, pay attention. Cobra Kai, dude. I'm a huge Karate Kid fan. But if you go to that, and I was just sitting there watching it one night, every one of the main characters either had a deadbeat dad that wasn't there or absent, or they was like Johnny. He was a drunk, right? There was no positive masculinity in there outside of Daniel. And then they made him look clumsy at times. I love this show, producers.
Right. Yeah.
But pay attention to that, because it's happened so much that people aren't seeing it. But I go back to that paternity fraud issue.
Mhm.
Have we desensitized people? Think about Maury and all this other stuff. You are not the father. People don't realize just how bad that is because we have packaged up people's pain and made entertainment
Right.
out of it. Most of these cases, they're on that show for a reason. They didn't go there to find out a paternity test. They had to fly over there and then find that out on national TV. There's real guys that is going through that, but I believe many people have been desensitized because of these talk shows, man.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm 50, so I grew up in the Sally Jesse Raphael, and boy, I just lost the other big shock guys.
Montel,
Yeah, Montel,
Bill Donahue.
Springer, Jerry Springer. I mean, all those great shows. But I shouldn't say
I
great.
thought Springer was crazy until I got involved in the family law arena.
Well, that's the thing. Once I don't know if I can say the word red pill on air here, but once you get red pilled, that philosophy, again, not the other stuff that goes along with it, but once you start seeing things the way they are, you look at things differently. And, when my wife and I, when we watch Cheaters and 90 Day Fiance and all those shows that have, dramatized and sensationalized all this behavior, we now look at it through that lens. Which, by the way, my wife is now red pill too. So.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
dude. Mine's catching on to it.
Oh yeah.
Julie brought in something here, and I don't know if you're talking about a show. I would play this clip, but somebody said, "Don't forget Ricky Lake." We didn't forget.
Oh,
Ricky. We've had people on Dad Talk that was on Ricky. I had one case. I was talking to you about it before the show. It was one of the higher rated shows. The father had a mother that told him not only was his daughter a boy, but that the child died. Okay. So here's this guy thinking, I had a boy and my son's dead. Well, it was a girl, and she went and put it up for adoption. When he found this out, he went and fought, and he has fought for years to be the dad of that little girl, dude. And there is nothing because there was already a name on the line, right? That was what they wanted. And then don't get us into that because we'll have that on a future subject. But there is incentives for adopting those kids back out too.
Oh.
But there I go. Yep.
Yeah.
And I heard of a dad that spent 5 years in jail for non-payment of child support for a child that was found not to be his. There's something. It's like paternity court or.
Yes, I have that video clip on my website.
Yeah. The guy went to jail for 5 years, man.
5
years, guys. And he found out it wasn't his. And he was so upset. And before that, mom was shaming him. Like, you weren't paying your child support. You weren't doing this. You weren't doing this. You're a horrible father. You're this, and this. You are the kid's dad. I can't even believe you question me. And then after it comes out, the judge looks at her and she's like, do you know who the father was? She's like, yep. She was like, when's the last time you saw him or something? Like, all the time.
Oh, yeah. For years. Well, and then he goes over to hug his son. Well, it's not his bio son, but it's his son. I mean, they've bonded. And the mom is saying, get away from him. It's not your dad. And the look on the father's face, for obvious reasons, the look on the son's face. Yeah. Well,
because they say to keep it about the kids. Look, that is going to be one of the most painful things in the world, to give that part of your life, and that's your kid. A lot of times they don't just find out, hey, I've been getting screwed out of my money. They get screwed out of that relationship too. Carnell, when he found out I paid 11 years in child support for a kid that wasn't mine, they still want me to pay child support. The only thing that changed, Dwayne, is now they wouldn't let him see his kid.
Yeah.
He still wanted to have that relationship. This is evil, man. They just wanted the money on both sides. And the courts protect it because of the way that the system is set up. That's why these conversations are so important. Icon, YouTube, said that happened to my friend. Call that phone line. I want to hear his story.
Yes.
Or if you have contact with your friend, I want to hear that story. Tell them paternity fraud, 762-441-0281. It is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I want people to see these on a real show that is going to show people's pain and try to get solutions instead of it showing up on a talk show and them using them for a sensational story. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, There we go with that. We're going to get into the calls, Dwayne. We're already 20 minutes in, and I know me and you get fired up on the subject. Now, I've really been enjoying having Dwayne on the show, guys. How have you enjoyed this in the past several episodes? I think me and you flow really well together, man.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it, man. We're going to try to get to it as much as we can. It's hard. You got a job. I got stuff I got to do too. So sometimes the times might not match up, but it's good to have people like you doing what you're doing. And I don't think people like him get enough credit, man. He's got a platform of his own, pissed off parent, and he's a data guy. And we need stuff like that, man. I'm not, okay? I'm the guy that takes their data and reads it because I want to promote it. But dude, I appreciate all your hard work. And I appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I know we haven't known each other too long, but it was good to meet you, man. It's
We're
good
all
to do these
brought
shows
together.
We didn't have to know each other for that long. We know our stories, even though there's a lot of these guys. The first time I meet them, it's like I've known them my whole life because I know the story. As soon as I hear it, I've known you my whole life. I've known what you've been through, you know?
Have you ever not even met the person and you look in their eyes? It sounds a little weird, but you look in their eyes and you just know. I mean, it's like you were your brother and sister. I mean, you know it. I mean, there were people that I've just bumped into and just something hit. I'm like looking at him in the eye and I'm like, yeah, you've been through some stuff. And then, the conversation starts.
Oh, dude, like I said, when we get into these calls, I can tell the second I hear their voice what level they're on. They're in the beginning, they're near the end, they're one of the ones that's been fighting for years. They don't know how they're going to stay in here. You can hear it. You just you get so used to it, guys. It's easy to spot. And you know what? If we can spot that, Dwayne, and we're just advocates, we didn't go to school for family law. We didn't go to study up on parental alienation and family court. We got experience in the way we didn't want to get it. But if we can spot these things pretty good and have that discernment, I think the family courts could too if they actually cared. Yep. Anyway,
yeah.
Guys, give me those voicemails. Like I said, you got questions, comments, concerns, want to tell your story on child support, 762-441-0281. Also, paternity fraud or Kanye, $200,000. Ah, man, I couldn't imagine paying that. He's got a little bit more than we do, though.
Yeah, but still, $200,000.
It's the problem with the system because if they'll do it up there, they'll do it down here. I mean, the guy that's making, like I'm going to have on the show in a couple of days, that $250,000 a year, bringing home $25 on his paycheck. That's way worse than Kanye, right? Yeah. And it sucks. Unfortunately, it doesn't get attention until it happens to one of the big guys. And I could say, I want to throw a little bit back at the big guys. You're going through it now. You could be helping this. You realize that instead of influencing shoes and all that other stuff, you could be influencing this movement. So if you go through it and you turn a blind eye to it, it's hard to get people to sympathize. I sympathize with you. I don't mean that as a shot, but we need our warriors here, man. Mm-hmm. We need our warriors here. Like I said, we might not be connected through making movies together, but we are connected through this fight. You're fighting for your kids. I mean, hell, look at Brad Pitt, dude.
Brad Pitt. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah, those type of stories get it out into, everyday America. And, but every one of us, we're all warriors in our own way, though. I mean, we have that 6 degrees of separation. We can, share our story, talk with people, be there for people, help people, and, and make our own community and, get this information out to everybody. And then, getting the big celebrities to come in and share their story and get real with people. And, talk about this stuff. That's the way it's going to get better.
I mean, Johnny Depp, dude. I mean, had he not had the public in that video, he probably would have lost that case. So you needed that public support. These guys do too. It's time to give back. Do you know how big of a voice that would be, Dwayne? Holy crap. And it might be in a dad joke kind of way. This might be a little corny, guys, but I'm going to put out an invitation in only a way that dad talk can. I'm talking to you, Brad Pitt. I'm talking to you. If you can do interview with the vampire, you can do interview with Eric Carroll. Just saying.
Yeah.
Tag Brad Pitt. Tell him if you can interview with a vampire, you can interview with me. That was horrible, horrible. All right. First call. Let's get to it, Dwayne. 762-441-0281.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Blake Joe from Tampa, Florida. I was calling about the, the post that you guys have on Facebook about child support, and if it's too much. Honestly, man, the way that the court system is just so flawed. You got parents out there who are, busting their butts every single day just to provide for their children, and you have other deadbeat dads that are out there that want nothing to do with their kids, that, that get off easy. You got people who are working their butts off, and the court system doesn't care how much you make, what you're struggling with. All they care about is, oh, well, we think that you owe this much, for child support, which is absolutely stupid. I got put on child support because the mother claimed that I wasn't taking care of my kids, which is further from the truth. Just because I wasn't sending stuff to her house, she thought that I wasn't taking care of my kids because she has custody of them. But in reality, what I was doing was, making sure that my kids had what they needed whenever they came over to my house. But she still decided to file child support, claiming that I just didn't care for about a year, that she gave me a year to support our children, which, like I said, is further from the truth. I gathered up all the receipts I had, calculated everything, and the court system still decided, oh, well, you owe back child support, and we're going to make you pay this much monthly in child support. And it's just ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and I always have to, configure in my expenses that, child support is going to be deducted. So say I'm making $1,000 a week. By the time child support is taken out, that's about $600-700 that I get to live off of for that week. And I just think it's absolutely stupid. So I'm glad that there are people out there that are getting together and talking about this, because it definitely needs to be talked about, because the court system is so flawed with who should get child support, who should have to pay child support, and things like that. So I just wanted to reach out to you guys and express my feelings on the whole thing. So thanks for taking the time to listen to my discussion, and hope to hear from you guys soon.
All right, dude. I appreciate that. We kind of talked about that before we got into the calls, Dwayne. He said, it seems like the ones that don't want anything to do with their kids are the ones that get away. And this is what you're hearing. It's like, we're going to punish the good dad, the one that actually wants to be there, wants to provide. We're going to punish him because we know he's going to feed our system. The other ones, and that's why paternity fraud, man. I think the courts probably really love that sometimes, because we can get somebody on the hook that will pay it. The other guy, deadbeat, he don't care if he gets behind, loses his license, or go to jail. He's got 3 hots in a cot. But these guys that are out there busting their ass are going to be the ones that get punished, man. That's just so wrong. And you got any thoughts on that, caller, Dwayne?
Oh, so many. Well, one, he highlighted, when he got tagged for back child support, he had been paying receipts, all that information went to the courts. Courts said, nope, put them on, arrearages and all that. And again, that feeds back into that Title IV piece. One of the performance measures and parts of it is all payments have to go through the center. If it doesn't go through the center, it doesn't count for their incentives. So everything that was paid to her directly, even with receipts and writing your name on it, and all that information means nothing. They're looking at, how can I maximize? It is written into the statutes, and well, definitely in Texas, I'm sure across the country, that their job, the judge's job, is to maximize maximize Title IV defunding through child support. That's written in. You can go to my website, find it. It's all there. That's their job. So the judge saw this again. I'm hearing what they taking them at face value. They went in, showed all the receipts. The judge said, doesn't matter. I'm nailing you for back child support, so we can get those performance measures, and I can get that incentive money, the grants, all that stuff coming in. The deadbeat part, yeah. The deadbeat doesn't care. And again, when Title 4D, trying to keep it on the Title 4D discussion, when that agent is sitting there and he's looking at two files, he's going, okay, well, this guy here is a complete deadbeat parent and hasn't had a job in 20 years. He's part of that, 68% of uncollected child support. And then we have guy over here, it sounds like the gentleman that was on the call, he's like, I can nail them for all kinds of money, and go ahead, goes that route, makes the money for the incentives and keeps that money wheel flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish there's going to be immediate change. Again, all these stories, while I definitely want to hear them, we need to talk about them and get them out there. Just getting the story out there helps.
Yep.
And, doing those type of things, getting the story out there, it's going to help. But also, if enough people get involved, that's when our legislators. Someone made a comment in here, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but someone made a comment. We need to pass laws, we need to change things. Well, our judiciary and the legislative branches, they will not do anything until their jobs are threatened, meaning not reelection. Let me be very clear.
Rettenberg can get money and votes.
Right. Money and votes. If, say, a state or the country says we are done with the way this is being handled, we want our children back and we want to be able to raise them, we're not going to let you make all this money off of the Title 4D and the child support and all that industry. We will not vote for you until unless you make this change. You'll be surprised how that will happen. It'll happen overnight.
Oh yeah, man. And that kind of goes, we was talking about Kanye and Brad Pitt and stuff. So we had the comment in there, and I hear this, not sure about celebrity being a leader for the movement. It's got to change laws, not just being a number on Facebook. Some people don't understand it. When I first got to this movement, Dwayne, and I do think we was talking about this before we got on. When I first got here, we would do these shows all the time. Look, how many callers have we had in the past week? These aren't guys on the TV screen, but it limits our reach. Mm-hmm. Now, and then people used to beg me, man, we got to get celebrities. We got to get politicians. We got to get these people to talk about them. We did. And then what happened? Oh, man, you're just worried about the celebrities. You're just worried about. No, dude, it's not about getting attention for me or Dwayne, but it is about getting attention anywhere we can get it, man, because we need it. Now, look at that, dude. What's so sad is, like I said, the Depp case. That is so many different dads and men out there right now. Mm-hmm. And it caught the attention of everybody. So talking about that gets people in there, and then you can bring on you guys. Sometimes it's using that to elevate your voices, right? And it's not about just using that celebrity for our own personal gain. They're one of us. Whether they're famous or not, if they're going through this broken system and facing these issues, they need to talk about it too. And when you give them a microphone, you're going to have a much, much bigger audience.
Right.
It's just the way it goes.
It's therapy. It's therapeutic for them, for the public to hear those things, to hear these actors being real people going through real issues. And also, I mean, how many people comment or whatever, but how many people, when the Johnny Depp case broke and some of this information started coming out, and you're sitting at home, you're saying, oh my God, that happened to me. And then you finally, around the water cooler, the coal mine, wherever you're at, you were talking to your buddy or your friend or whatever, and you brought it up and it started that conversation, and they went, oh God, me too. I was in this relationship. Yep. This happened. It got the conversation going.
Heck, dude. I mean, I've been doing this, going on 4 years. My number one rated episode was when the day of the verdict, 36,000 live viewers, guys. 36,000 live viewers, not that accumulated over time. Think about that. Look at what we're getting in here right now. So if these guys would come and actually be a voice behind this movement and help, the most unpopular subject out there, even though it's kind of the discussion right here, funds. Right. The people that create this system have unlimited funding to keep the lobbyists and everybody else that just keeps the thumb down on the man. try
Well-
to get some money in the shared parenting community to get you out to a political conference or to meet with your legislator or to take them out to lunch or something like that. These are broke dads. They're at work. And when they do work, they don't have money to give out to anybody else. So there's so many different things that can be used from that influence. None of us want it to be that way. But like, again, they're people too. Before they got fame, they were just regular people too. And now they're going through the issues. I don't care what race you are, what gender you are, your economic situation, it can affect everybody. I don't care where you live, dude, because it's almost, it's like a worldwide problem. This issue affects everybody. It really does.
Yeah.
And that's, and we usually say this before we get too deep into it, but Angie Johnson said it's happening to mothers too. It's the corrupt court. So sickening. I mean, as bad as we talk about Kanye, you go to Kelly Clarkson, and I think she's paying about just the same amount, but she was the breadwinner, and the system profits by he who makes the most money, or she,
Right.
is going to be the one that gets the limited time and pays the max.
Right. And that's, I mean, I know we get, a lot of comments. It happens with them too. We do know it does. It's just, again, right now with the economics, it impacts men more than women. Now it's also impacting women, directly, but not directly, in that when they then meet their future spouse who's being, just crushed with child support debt and can't afford to live, the new wife, the new girlfriend's the one that's, taking care of the bills and things like that. Because right now her income isn't being attached. That law will probably be changing here in the next couple years, the way things are going. But with it, impacting men more than women, that was because before, and currently men are primarily the larger income earners.
Right.
But again, Title IV doesn't care. When as women, and you look at the measures over the years, women are making more money. They're I believe they're either at or will be over making more overall than men here pretty soon if they haven't already. So it's gonna pivot. The pendulum is gonna swing over to where it will be mom talk today, which I know you already have that, but it'll be mom talk today.
Point. We tried doing that too, man. We've tried everything. I mean, doing this and trying to get attention any way you can. It's like throwing as much stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's not people that are just sitting out here and don't have great ideas. They get out there and do it, but you're only as good as the army that you got behind you.
Yes.
You can't go to war unless the army is there.
And we can't be decisive. We can't be, what about this group or that group? We, I don't know if we need to record this, again, but we understand that it impacts mothers as well. I mean, everybody, the moms, the dads, the children, the aunts, the uncles, the grandpa, the good friends, the extended family. This impacts everyone. Everyone is impacted by this.
And it's just a very uneven battle. That's all it is. It's a very uneven. That's not saying that you don't exist. So cheering on these guys to talk about the equality is fighting for everybody. It's fighting for the kids. It's fighting for the mom. It's fighting for the dad. It's about straight equality. I had something. Oh, yeah, we got to be a little careful with this one. We got to be a little careful, but we're talking about moms and dads and who's going to pay the child support. Let me choose my words wisely. We're getting in a different type of generation. Could you imagine now, before too long, we could have cats, dogs, and wolves paying child support?
Oh boy.
We'll leave it there. You know what I'm talking about. All right, we'll leave it there. How do you feel? Which one's going to be the discriminated against? Is it going to be the cat, the dog, or the wolf? Who knows? All right, guys, getting to our next call, 762-441-0281.
This is Jody from Buffalo, Missouri, and I am actually calling in regards to your child support questions that you had put out there. Do I agree with child support? Only if the other parent, male or female, is not holding themselves accountable and responsible for that child. So how much is too much? Well, that all depends. I have a friend that, he brings home like $50 a week to live on because his child support is so steep on a child. That is not right. So I do feel like that should be filtered down, right? Is it for lifestyle? And should receipts be required? I absolutely feel like receipts should be required. I feel like when it comes to child support, all parents should be 50-50 in this. Now, if there's one parent calling the shots and just presenting a receipt to the other person, should they be able to go out and buy all Puma and Adidas and name brand and all of this because they know they're only responsible for half? Absolutely not. That should be an agreement. You want to spoil your kid and buy them all name brand things, my opinion, that person should be paying 2/3 and the other party should only be paying 1/3, right? As far as Uncle Sam, I don't know how much Uncle Sam makes, but he shouldn't be making any, in my opinion.
Sure.
So there's that. That's just kind of what I'm thinking as far as child support. The only time it should ever be a thing is if there's one parent not holding themselves responsible for that child. Now, if there's a mom or a dad out there that's keeping the child from the other parent, my opinion, that other parent shouldn't have to pay anything because it's not about I didn't get my way, therefore I shouldn't have to pay you anything, or, you should have to pay even though I'm withholding that child from you. It doesn't work that way. It's called co-parenting, and that's the way it should be in any broken home. Thank you very much for hearing me out, and talk to you guys again soon. Bye.
That was a
thank
great-
you so much. It was, dude.
That-
One thought that I was just saying, and I mean, this is going to be different from everybody, and I know the situation's different, but if they were buying my kids Adidas or it was nice clothes, I'd rather have that. If there was enough money there, and then that's what it's being, I don't mind that as long as it's going towards my kid, right?
Yeah.
But then, how much is too much? Like how over the top are we doing that? A lot of these guys. Look, we had that one caller yesterday that says, "I want to do more." I don't think it's going to go to my kid. I think if it was going towards the kids, you wouldn't hear a lot of these guys screaming.
Yeah, and just think if you kept you did your agreement for child support or payment and kept the courts out of everything and stayed everything above board, just think how much money you could then give to your kids as opposed to opposing counsel, court fees, all that. I mean, people are giving their children's inheritance away to lawyers and judges and the state and all that, and then put into indentured servitude for the rest of their life for what I have no idea what, but they're doing it for some strange reason.
Right.
And I'm going to text my kids and ask them what Adidas and all that is. I'm a Walmart shopper, so I have no idea. Actually, I let my wife handle a number of the clothing purchases. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
My Ozark Trails.
yeah, represent. But yeah,
I usually got backups. I got backups. I bought them on clearance for $15. So I've got like 4 pairs of the same shoe from Walmart. So when these wear out, I got the
dads. What is that about dads? Because here now we're gonna do the foot cam. I guess.
There we go. Show us what you're wearing, guys.
My wife bought these.
That
and
looks
every
like
time-
Adidas.
Is it Adidas?
That looks like Adidas.
My
Is that
wife
not
dresses
Adidas?
me. I have no idea. I'm an old man now. I guess that's Adidas. Cloud foam. But I have 4 pair of the exact same shoes that I've bought over the last decade or 5 years or however often they get bought. Men don't change our shoes up. I don't know what that is.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. I never thought I would be the guy. And this is a stereotype against dads. And it's so sad because it's funny and it's true. It's all the emotions in one. What is it about New Balance? I mean, there's a lot of these guys. I mean, you find that one shoe and you don't really want to deviate from it. When you're a kid, you want the Nike Airs, you want all these things. Then later on, it's like, as long as it's comfortable and it looks like a sports shoe, I don't care.
Exactly.
Right? That's what, when I saw that at Walmart, I was like, I put it on and you don't even have to tie it. They got this new like pull string. You just pull the string and throw it down to the Velcro and it ties your shoe. And I was like, oh, that's me right there. Because I'm constantly having to take them on and off.
Then your back hurts and
Yeah.
You got the mid-rate, you got the dad bod going, the Thor dad bod after, when he got old.
But one thing I want to touch on with her before we get to the next voicemail, because this is going to be one Don't let me forget this, Dwayne. This needs to be a full episode itself, and I guarantee you there will be a lot of people that will contribute to it. I've seen several people say there shouldn't be no child support at all. I'm going to tell you, there is cases where child support is needed.
Yeah.
Okay. The needs of the child need to be met. These big, ridiculous sums, I don't agree with, but there is going to be cases where child support is needed. There's another side of that argument where the guys say in cases where there is 50-50 and they are getting the kids equal, there should be no child support. I believe that 100%. 100%. There is going to be some of these cases. I've even seen cases, and this might get to me, where alimony, I can understand it, maybe for like a year,
Right.
but not the max. Like they're doing it for the lifetime. There's just so many different variables and so many different cases that people have. But in that case that we know, hey, the kids' needs need to be met. Why hasn't there ever been a push for a max child support?
Individual states will have child support cap amounts if you make certain amount, but then you have that famous judge's discretion. So that's, but there are technically caps on the amount of child support because most of the states do the income model. So that's why they cap it there.
They don't go by it. They got the judicial discretion and the immunity. Dwayne.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The guy that's coming on here in Georgia, he was only required to pay 23%. They're getting 100% of this guy's paycheck. And if you're somebody that's watching this show right now and you're somebody I know and you like to constantly call me while I'm on a live video, I promise you I'm not going to call you back. Is this happening right now? Nonstop or on Facebook Messenger. Do not call me on there. I'll get you off my page. Anyway.
And while we're doing PSAs, remember, we are not attorneys. We're not fashion sense. We need to add that to the thing that we talk about. We don't have fashion sense. If we do, it's our wives that gave it to us.
Well, and it's something else. I mean, I think it's important. All right. Watch how you interact in this community.
Yes.
Everybody was amazing yesterday. We had one person. I don't know how he got our telephone numbers, but he's sitting there texting us these long texts saying, this is what it is. You need to go buy this. And I put up with it for a second because I know that people are emotional, right? But then they started like putting down everybody that didn't agree with him and you're gone. Okay. Listen, guys, if you sit there and talk about Title 4D percentages, different law numbers and different people are not listening to that. Here's the thing. There's guys on here that aren't advocates again because they're working. They're not out there doing legislation. They're not out there reading bill numbers. They're not out there trying to become attorneys. They're just trying to live their life. What they want to hear is that these people understand what I'm going through. Right. And I want a place where I feel like I'm understood because that lets me know I'm not alone. Now, I don't think this is that issue. I don't think this issue is something that people want to know that there's other people relating, but there is some comfort in it, knowing that you're not alone in this battle. Right.
Yeah.
So don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of jump. Yeah, people are. Yeah, it's emotional. There's stories I can't even imagine. I mean, I went through my own thing. Stories I couldn't even imagine. I don't know how people can get up but hating a gender or a sex or what that is not going to get you anywhere. Think about it. The flip side, just live in the world you create. Think if someone was barking at you or yelling at you or putting you down based on whatever reason, are you going to really listen to what they're saying? No.
Well, and the other thing is too, you're trying to tell somebody that you went through a toxic, controlling, narcissistic, bipolar, and go through all the things relationship, but you're on here saying, if you don't believe it the way I do and say it the way I do, that you're wrong and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Yeah, I really believe you about that divorce, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All that in a bag of potato chips, and we could go a lot more. Keep those calls coming in. If you're in this community, okay? Some of you guys, if you haven't been here and you're just now going through these issues, they might be on there. What are these old guys talking about? But if you've been here and you've been trying to create change, you get it. Yeah. You get it. 762-441-0281. Let's go.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Brandon. I'm calling you here from Suffolk, Virginia. My thoughts on this are child support. it's there, and I understand it. I'm actually going through it right now. But unlike, I guess, the typical, I am a father who wants to be in my child's life, and all three of my kids' lives. And she knows that, so she's limiting and fighting tooth and nail on how much time I am getting with them and all this. But I don't agree with it because, like I said, unlike some people don't want to be part of their child's lives. I do. But here's the thing. She still has me on child support, right? I get it. She will not do 50-50. And the reason she won't do 50-50 is because she makes $100,000 a year and I make 40. If we go to 50-50 or even close to 50-50, technically she would have to pay me. And I have even made this clear that I don't want to be paid. I just want more time with my children. And I just want to be able to enjoy the time that I have with them and be able to spend some time with them and spend some money on them. It's just tough. It sucks. So my thoughts are, if you're a dad or a parent, it doesn't matter if you're a dad or a mom, a parent, if you're a parent and you want to be in that child's life and you're doing everything you can to be in that child's life, child support is there, yes, to help, but it should not be like the main objective on anybody's part. It's sad. That's just my opinion. I think it should be 50-50. When you have them, take care of them. When the other party has them, take care of them. Financially, you're both responsible, yes. So therefore, I feel like 50-50. When you have them, take care of them. When the other party has them, take care of them. But, yeah, I can go on and on about it, but I figured I'd just leave that little bit, and I appreciate the time and look forward to listening and seeing the comments. All right. Have a great day.
Great call.
Hey, oh yeah, dude. And that, as Peter Griffin on Family Guy would say, that brings up something that really grinds my gears. Because the family court, they just have no sympathy for these dads. How many times have you heard, Dwayne, like these guys that are getting in trouble for child support or arrears, and they're saying they won't let me see my kid. Now, they won't do anything about the contempt of court, but they're trying to take my license. They're trying to do everything to me, but they will not let me see my kid. I'm not going to pay somebody that won't let me see my child. Now, what does the courts think about that? You would think people would have sympathy for that, right? No, the child still needs to be taken care of, even though you're not able to see it. You don't think they've got needs? You don't think that's how these guys get treated in court? If I pay, I want to be able to see my kids. It's that simple. They don't care about your rights. They care about your money.
Oh, definitely. And I try to keep Texas out of it, but putting Texas right in there, that is, they have stated that child support is separate from visitation. They make it a big point. Of course, they also say they make decisions not based on gender. Whole different joke there. But yeah, at the end of the day, those two are intertwined. That's just the cold hard facts. And what's funny is we have data from the government, the same websites we've been going to, that say that if you make the child support order reasonable, that is going to continue. The parent is going to continue paying and seeing the child. If you put it at some crazy $200,000 a month number that no one can afford, the parent's going to check out, because again, it makes sense. But I did want to help this guy. By the way, it was a great call. Again, and I'm not an attorney, definitely not in your state. But what you need to do, or what I would suggest you do, is sit down with the mom and write up a agreement, because she has a valid concern. She's concerned about her money. I get it, but write up concern: equal shared parenting, no child support. You both sign and notarize it, and then take it to court. And the judge, since he's not in Texas, may do something with that.
You ever see those comments or messages or something that floats around the community sometimes, and you can't help but laugh about it. But you said you shouldn't do that. It's funny. I get it. I'm not even going to read the name, but this guy said, that's why I wrote child ransom on the check when I sent it. And he said, the judge told me I couldn't do that anymore. No, probably not the best idea. Probably not.
Not
But we're
the
going to
best
laugh.
idea.
We're going to laugh. But
Yeah, oh,
I'm
fine.
going to let, dude, it's up to you. But they just don't have any sympathy. And if you do that, you're dang sure not going to get it. Just
Oh.
going to be honest with you.
Well, imagine going into court and you're trying to get on the judge's good side, because again, it is partially personality, partially which law firm paid the largest, reelection campaign donation to him.
Yep.
All the money involved with that. But if the judge doesn't like you, I mean, watch Judge Judy once or twice. I mean, yeah, putting child ransom on the check. I get that 5 seconds of enjoyment,
Humor.
but
It's funny. We get it.
it's hilarious. I mean, that's a great meme, but should not happen in real life. I mean, you're going to pay for it. Literally.
Did you see the one that went and got him and his new wife?
Yes.
Depended on his paychecks for his alimony. Oh my God, dude.
Oh, that was great.
It was.
And that's what you got to do sometimes.
What it is. Yeah. Yeah. Just because we don't promote it and tell you to do that, don't mean we're not going to laugh about it, guys.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. And
It's absolutely hilarious.
yeah,
So
talk
thank
to
you
your
for that.
buddies. Yeah.
Guys, keep those calls coming in. 762-441-0281. We're already at an hour, and we hadn't even got to a third of the messages, dude, that I got on here for now. We still got tons more. So we're going to try to get through them as quick as we can and try not to get off on our tangents. It's easy to do.
It
All
is.
right.
Hi, Eric. My name is Ben. I'm from the wonderful Wayne County, Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, most of the time child support's just for lifestyle, really. I mean, you have a lot of times where people make it difficult and traumatizing to try to be involved with your kid, and then they use that as the claim of you're not around. Well, if you were acting like that and you just let the kids go with both parents, then you wouldn't need child support. In my case, one of my cases, my kid's mom literally quit working her part-time job the 2 weeks after they pulled my first child support check for $1,000 a month. And she's also been living off of her dad, who's a kind of wealthy guy. So,
I understand that
if you're
one.
living off someone else's money like that, too, with your family, I mean, why do you need my money? Just let me have time with the kids, and, then I could use that money on them here myself at our home. So most of the time, I would say it's just for lifestyle and not even for the kids, but here we are. Thanks a lot. Appreciate everything you do.
Thanks, man. Dude, quick thought on that. He's talking about the family that is supporting them while they're not working a job. Those are the families that are going to take up for that person tooth and nail because they want you to step in and get them out of there,
They
right?
want you to start
And they're
paying
going
the
to get
checks.
just as toxic as your ex. I don't know if that's your case, but I would almost guarantee you it is.
If I was a betting man, yeah, definitely.
So if that's what's going on, dude, like I said, don't feel alone on that. We're going to hurry up and get on to this next call. 762-441-0281. Keep them coming in, guys.
My name's Steve Kettleson. I've been abused by two different states' child support systems, North Carolina and Colorado's. Jefferson County, Colorado is by far the worst. The way that they have it set up is to make any kind of changes, you need to go through a child support modification form. The way that you get that is you need to have your sworn financials, and you also need the sworn financials of the opposite party, your ex-wife. Well, in my case, all it simply takes is for her to refuse to give me her sworn financials, and child support never changes. Even though out of the 3 children that I'm paying child support for, one of them is now a 21-year-old, and I should have stopped paying on her child support years ago, but because the woman refuses to give me any kind of sworn financial, it's locked. And yeah, it is more than 65% of what my total pay is. They even accounted my disability payments from the military, which is again illegal. But when this all comes down to the government doesn't care because the government is able to take as much money as possible from them. It's just more money. Anyways.
Brother, the first thing that comes to my mind, like listening to that, Dwayne, how is this not sexist? You claim you're going to get his financial statements. You're going to make him, and he's going to pay no matter what. But when he goes through the system and expects the same to be done on the other side, no, we're not going to touch that. A lot of people we talk about the common solutions we hear in this community, rallies, all this other stuff. Another one's petitions. Petitions are glorified pieces of paper. Why has nobody ever challenged it as a sexist discrimination thing and got a class action lawsuit against these bastards?
Well, people have tried at different levels, different ways to do that. It's just, time, money, lawyers that are willing to honestly do it versus doing the paper running that they normally do. A number of reasons. But on the call, I picked up on a few things. Of course, the whole child support modification. He's in Michigan. And Michigan takes the income share model when determining child support. So it takes his income, her income, and then puts it together, does the formula, and then breaks it out that way. Well, they don't have her numbers. They don't complete it, or they have her at zero. Then it's all on him. The system's working as designed.
Oh, dude, before Texas became the state that started getting the spotlight, for me, it was Michigan, the first big case that broke on Dad Talk with the Jonathan Vanderhagen case up there in Detroit. 1.5-year-old baby boy died when the father was saying, I need custody of my son. Now, how did that person not get some type of action taken against him? But that particular call, you were talking, I think the caller before was from Michigan. I think that last one was North Carolina and Colorado. But that brought something else up too.
Same one.
I had one of these really, really smart red pill guys that was trying to educate me on some of this stuff in the history. He had told me, you're a data guy, find this one out, that at one point in time, Colorado had passed shared parenting. VAWA came back and got it reformed.
I will have to research that one.
Because that is an interesting conversation, because a lot of people think that the magic answer is going to be 50-50. As long as there's still bias in there, there's going to be ways to get around the 50-50 too. But if it gets 50-50 in, can they come back and get it reformed? I was told that was the case for Colorado.
I'll have to check that out.
Have you ever heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
No.
I'll have to,
Check
sink my teeth into that one.
Yep.
Well,
go ahead, man.
Well, talking about the child support and the Title 4D funds and all that stuff, Kentucky and the whole 50-50, Kentucky, right, is one of, I believe, the first state that did a true 50-50 equal shared parenting bill, passed it. And within the next year or so now, not domestic violence, the domestic violence in those situations went down. And then the other thing was a report came out that they basically had no more, their budget was broke because the Title 4D funds weren't coming in anymore. So I'll be honest, I'm thinking probably Kentucky will end up being we're going to reform 50-50. To be honest, not to bring any negativity to the show, but
we got to be honest with our people. We always seem on the defensive about what's going on and like, let's not talk too much about the problems or the things that could come up because we don't want to give anybody ideas. We've got to be honest with our people, right? And I think a lot of times as advocates, that's fighting against this, we're in our chats and we know what's going on, but a lot of these guys don't. You have no idea how hard this fight is, man. Here's a state that got it, and then it got taken away, right? I was very proud of Kentucky for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that is not the case.
Well, it'll probably happen in the next few years. I mean, their budget broke as a result of the Title 4D funds. So I'm guessing, because again, they've got to make their budget one way or the other.
Right.
I'm making the guess they're going to reform it at some point in the near future, in the next 5 years. I'm saying, or I'm thinking. That personal opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that. If they would actually, I mean, other people have proposed other ways to use those federal funds. That if you did if you did a 50-50 and did supporting, that the parents were doing, well, and the co-parenting and things like that, put other markers in there, then do the federal funds. But so far, none that I'm aware of the state or legislators have proposed that as a difference, or as an alternative to the current model.
But if you do some equality in there, you're not going to need as many employees working for the state either.
There's a problem.
Family court to come down. Maybe you can explain this one to me, because this one gets a little crazy. It's a Texas problem. I was told about, some of those courts out there are just so jam packed that they have a 20-minute rule, right? Mm-hmm. You got 20 minutes to tell your story. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm surprised some of these guys are pulling this off in 3 minutes, but you can tell they're getting cut off. They could go on for days and days and days about their case. Now, if I'm in the courtroom and I've got to get everything out on the table to tell you about the situation, and these people got years. I was talking to somebody yesterday that's been in the family courts for 18 years. Their kid is 35 and they're going to family court over this grown adult, man. And you've got 20 minutes to get out your thing. I talked to one of the judges down there. I was interviewing him, and we had been, we was in person, and I took my jacket, put it on the thing, and I looked right at him. I was like, can you tell me how many cases of parental alienation you saw? And this one bothered me, because he said, well, I can honestly say I've never seen a case of parental alienation. I was like, oh my God. So that was my first time hearing about the 20-minute rule. And I asked him if he would believe in equal shared parenting. He's like, I don't think that's such a good idea. So that was like, okay, gloves off. Okay, let's talk. And so I said, well, tell me about this 20-minute rule. And he said, you got to understand, our courts are so overwhelmed with cases that we don't have the time. We don't have the time. And that was the perfect, I knew where I was going. And I said, don't you think if you had some equality in here and you got the cases that never needed to be there in the first place, you might actually have some times to hear about these real cases that need to be looked into a little bit more. Have you heard about CPS and how overloaded their workers are? I mean, we could go into so many different places there, but imagine 20 minutes, you got to have all this stuff out. That's crazy, man. That is crazy.
Yeah, there's a unwritten rule of 20 minutes where you really can't explain tell your story. But it's interesting you bring that up, because with the bug, we had the closed courtroom, so we started doing Zooms for all of these cases, which seemed to work really well. Unfortunately, from what I've seen, because I did court watching via Zoom, yeah, it's I'm interested. I want to see what's going on in our courtrooms. And when we started seeing some of the
Wizard of Oz,
and when I started seeing some of the things that were happening that I knew with my 2 years of business law that I took was not right, I'm like, this makes no sense. Well, now they're shutting all of that down. So they're complaining about not enough time to do certain things, but they're removing a bought and paid for solution of Zoom calls that would just work through the system. So, you'd be able to just in and out and get these things resolved. But they're shutting that down, which makes so sense. But they're, of course, wanting to get more and more judges to come in, again, feeding that Title 4D monster. That's what they're trying to do. But they're shutting down the Zoom calls and refusing to have those. It's only going to be in person, which then that just increases the amount of time where you can't see as many cases. But that's probably why the Family Bar Association bar president gets paid $1 million a year, but different story.
I do. It's I've been in several of those, and a couple of things that's happened. I'll be in there with my camera off, and the second that the camera comes on and you see Dad Talk Today, I automatically get kicked off. Mm-hmm. That was an interesting one. I was the only one that got kicked off. Or you're in there doing the court watching, and it's somebody that you're trying to help on the show. Next thing you know, they're watching your episode in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Seen that crap too. Younger's case, they did that in Younger's case. And Younger had a ton of court watchers, man, but they don't like that because they see how many people know this system is broken.
Right.
Right. That's the problem with it. You don't really see anybody showing up on the other side. Not really. But for the people that know what's going on, they'll show up in numbers, dude. I've seen it where there's been thousands of court watchers and they can't stand that crap because
And-
they need to sweep this under the rug. It's the reason why the media doesn't get into it, why they don't push it. They need it under the rug. That's how they sneak it up under there. And so that goes into this question from Seth on YouTube. He said, is there any hope to ever modifying child support, or does it really vary state by state? My income hasn't come back since COVID lockdowns. All right. So you go back into what Dwayne was just talking about with these incentives, right? If they start losing money from it, dude, is there any hope? Going and trying to tell this to the legislators and hoping that they are going to have a heart and you're going to get the majority of these guys who many times are attorneys to change that law. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The only way that I think we're going to be able to do that again is to rise up, show up to stuff like this and start putting some sunlight in here. Here's the problem, right? Again, it goes back to the court watching thing. When people started coming in and they started seeing it, we got to get that out of here. Anytime that you start making progress, they're going to try to find a way to put their thumb down on you. Okay. So the more of us that there is, the harder it's going to be to silence us. Do you understand, guys? If you can't show up to rallies, you can't work on legislation, you can show up to a damn podcast. Right?
Like, share, subscribe. That's what changes the
Like,
algorithm.
share,
I mean, the
subscribe.
numbers are there.
There is, dude. Again, over 600,000 between the social media outlets, and we're getting 500 to 1,000 views. Guys, come on. You think that's coincidence? I'll show you the numbers. I'll show you. Get in here. The more of you that like, share, subscribe, and get this stuff out there, that's where it's going to come. They need to see our people and realize if we do something. Wait, hold up. We won't mention any names. Here we go.
Right.
The comment from last night that you was talking about, Eric's not going to tell you why they didn't do this in Texas. Like, who was holding it back? I have no idea what that hogwash was anyway, to be honest with you. But, dude, I ain't going to run away from anything. You know why that didn't pass in Texas? I'll give you the reason why. I'm not going to put it on any specific people. But when they do this in that judicial committee, yeah, we had our people there. They were up in arms. They'll get on here and they'll comment on people's Facebooks and stuff. But where was it in the general public? It was our echo chamber again.
Mm-hmm.
There is people that would sympathize with these issues. If you didn't go and tell them HB 803 does this, Title 4D does, you go tell them, look at this case over here where this kid died of cancer. Dad wasn't seeing him. Look at this case right here where they're trying to transition a kid. And you start putting that spotlight on it and get that media out there. The judicial committee did what they did because they knew after that day, even though there was all those parents there in that courthouse, in that state capitol, that a week later we can sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
And you know what, Dwayne? They did.
Oh, successfully.
Yep.
It-
And they've already got their out for the next one. I've said it. They gave you expanded standard. They gave expanded standard just so they can look at you next time and say, we already changed it up a little bit. We got to try that for a while.
Let's let it percolate for a couple decades, right?
That's it. We got to stop hiding that from our people because there's going to be out there with people that are going to be putting efforts in that same area. If you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, guys, that's insanity. Insanity. Even in the States, what if you do get it passed? Did you not hear what Dwayne was just talking about with Kentucky? It's the only thing that we haven't done, dude, is bring everybody to the dance. And that's going to be hard. That's really harder than getting some of the politicians sometimes. It really is.
Well, imagine, from the state's perspective, and again, there's going to be more things coming out of it, but imagine the millions of dollars, billions of dollars states receive in those funds and then cutting that off. We had that attorney famously a few years ago up in Illinois who said, if we pass equal shared parenting, we will lose federal funding, hundreds of millions of dollars to the state of Illinois.
Dude.
Famous clip, been viewed a million times at least. He said what we all know. All these states, they're thinking the exact same thing, and Kentucky proved it.
Georgia just did it last month, man. The Child Support Commission showed up and they had the meeting where you could see it. The judges were in there saying, guys, we got to stop doing this. We got to stop lowering child support. We got to stop deviating from the way they got it set up because they're threatening us with our federal funding. Who do you think's paying their paychecks? Where do you think these bonuses come from? right?
Judge's retirement.
You're being threatened
Yeah.
with your money. You are the one that gets the consequence from it.
Yeah.
Shoot, dude.
Beautifully put. I mean, that in a nut. Actually, you've nailed it. Looking for your inspirational quote right there. That was the quote. I mean, and again, I mean, what if someone threatened your retirement? What if someone threatened your paycheck? You're going to fight like hell.
It's so easy to hate these type of people, right? And to get so upset. These might be people that honestly thought they was getting there to make a difference. I've seen some of the attorneys that get in there and they got in that because they thought they were going to be helping kids. Okay. And then it was a decent living. It was their career. And then they get in there and the good ones, I got told this by an attorney and I didn't realize it, and how much truth there was until I got in here and was doing this. The good ones most of the time turn into alcoholics.
Oh, mental abuse, alcoholism, suicide.
Yeah,
through the roof in the family law industry. It's ridiculous.
It sure is, because of the stuff.
I feel bad for him.
I do too, man. I mean, there's some of these, the good ones, guys, they wear their heart on their sleeve. When John Mass passed away, Dwayne, that was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had with an attorney. I'm not talking about Kevin Hickey. He had another attorney named Tom Jackson from North Dakota that Kevin was working in conjunction with. You didn't see him on the documentary. You want to know why? When I heard from him, Dwayne, he couldn't breathe. The guy was having a panic attack, like crying his eyes out. He said, I never knew when we fought for his innocence, this was what was going to come out of it. When they got him exonerated, he was taking it so hard. Here is a client that you fought for 3 years. And on the day he finally got what you fought for with him, he loses his life. He's murdered.
Yeah.
You know, that's, dude, it's hard to go on your normal life. I got to go in here and spend it with my kid later, knowing what just happened to one of my clients in this story. So some of these guys, we gotta have a heart. You know, we can't just say all of them, and we can speak in generalities. It's the same thing that we're doing here when we talk about dads. We're not saying it doesn't happen on the other side. And if there is some of those good attorneys out there, there are some of those good politicians. Come here.
Please. We need your help.
We want
to vet you.
We're going to vet you. But if you're one of the good guys, we'll give you the megaphone. We want to be there marching beside you, man. So, but we also want to get to your voicemails. So we're going to get to that. 762-441-0281. I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as we can, guys.
Hi, Eric. Matt McElhaney again, calling from Glendive, Montana. Court case was in Dickinson, North Dakota. Shocker. So after being allowed to kidnap the kids 1,100 miles at the final trial, since this topic's on child support, the judge put in the motion during the interim order that I pay child support, but didn't specify how much and when it started. Well, final trial comes around, and her attorney's trying to pin me for not paying child support. Well, lo and behold, her attorney never filed my ex's financial information. My attorney and I were waiting on him and his attorney to file financial information for 6 months. Now, that was $5,900 that has now since been paid. But the judge said, and I quote, well, I'm not responsible for child support, but if it were up to me, he wouldn't be paying back to August. I was still pinned with $5,900 worth of arrears because this is a game they like to play. All the attorneys are in on it. It's a disgusting game to them.
These calls line up, right?
But yeah, that's all said and done, and appreciate what you guys do. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, brother. Yeah, dude. I mean, he just kind of like caveated off of what we was just
he nailed it
about, really.
Yeah, these lawyers, they know. They do. We use the word incompetence so it doesn't get used the wrong way, but I don't know, I'm confused. I forgot to. This is every bit of it is designed to be this way.
As bad as Georgia is, man, I mean, the one thing that we have that I think every state should have, I'm curious if you got it in Texas. Do you guys do retroactive child support?
Yeah, we do.
Georgia doesn't. It's the one thing that they do. If your ex is blocking you from your baby and she doesn't know what's going on, she takes you to court 4 or 5 years later and he was trying and you didn't, there's no retroactive child support.
Oh no, we have retro.
You got it. Could you imagine that being blocked and you're trying to save up the money to pay for the attorney? You finally pay for the attorney and okay, it took you 2 to 3 years to pay for us. And now you got to go back and pay this child support. I bet you do. I bet you do. There's a reason why you're those Title 4D records.
Title 4. So so they get to nail you with the arrearage, one of the 5 points.
Yep.
They collect it because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm $5,900 behind or whatever. Here I just took my 3rd home equity loan out, or drained all my credit cards for the 10th time, or sold plasma and got the money together. They do it. I've satisfied the enforcement piece for arrearage. That's actually, I believe, a higher percentage of that pool of money. That Georgia comes out, or I'm sorry, Texas and other states, non-Georgia states, come out smelling like a rose. Actually, I think Georgia's also you have the law to where you can't be the arrearage for delinquent child support doesn't continue to accrue at the 6% or so per annum that it does in certain other states. I'm not sure if it's Georgia. Texas, you go to jail for contempt of court, and then you sit there and you still accrue arrearage at 6% per annum.
Crazy thing is, being a Georgia boy, I know more about Texas than I do here. We haven't had a real big swelling of advocates. I know some, don't get me wrong.
Oh, there's some.
Those guys, they like we was talking about the income. They're not making as much over here. These guys are working, man. They're working. I won't mention their name. Here's one that'll inflame the audience, and it's probably just some troll, but I would not be surprised. It says, as a woman who gets child support, I love it that I can waste my good for nothing ex's money on myself, and there is nothing you can do about it. There's probably somebody out there. It's probably a troll, but there's probably somebody out there would love to make statements like that. I actually had some yesterday when we was talking about it. Coming here and making fun of these guys when they talk about it. And you know what? Most of the time, it's going to be that type of people that love to use the system. It's something that you would get. So whether it was a funny comment, the funny part about it is it's trying to say as a woman who gets child support, but they put ho instead of who. So joke's on you. Diesel. All right, guys, we're getting back on to the next caller. 762-441-0281.
Hello, my name is Mauro Heraldez. I'm from Bakersfield, California. And the child support system is absolutely wrong. They want me to pay over $1,000 for 3 children, and I don't make that much money a month to pay $1,000. Once I start paying that much money starting next year, I'm probably going to be homeless. I cannot afford $1,000 a month. That's more than my rent. And I'm just tired of the system. It does not work. We need to change it. We need something for the fathers, because a lot of fathers are just struggling, and this is not fair. They didn't count her income because she gets government assistance. Government assistance of $1,000 a month plus food stamps. And because she gets that, I have to pay $1,000. And she has a part-time job. But like I said, it's not included in the income because she gets government assistance. And I think that's absolutely wrong. The government should be shamed for letting child support cases like this go through. We need help. We need some change now. Thank you for hearing me.
Yeah, man. There's nothing wrong with these guys. Even though $1,000, that's $1,000. I don't know how much you're making, but imagine being this person that is having that struggle and looking at the other side saying they're not doing a dang thing. And then you're giving them all the resources to sit there and do it with.
Feeding the bears. Well, in this gentleman's situation in California, when you said that, it mentioned there's an article on the site that talks about how California is actually keeping the millions in child support that it's collecting for itself, for the state coffers, not actually distributing it. But for this gentleman here, that system, unfortunately, it's working as designed. Again, the purpose of Title 4D is a welfare recovery program. Your ex-spouse, the mother of your child, elected for whatever reason, to go on welfare for $1,000 a month, etc. And unfortunately, they don't have an incentive for her to go to work to offset that. They're going to make you pay it, so the taxpayer doesn't.
Okay. All right.
Unpopular statement, I know, but
No.
that's why it was designed right there. The state of when the divorce revolution happened back in the after no fault divorce was signed, 70s, the spike and everything. What happened is a lot of people got divorced. It spiked, and then the women, it was primarily women that initiated and got divorced. They said, "Okay, I'm free. I don't have the skills," because they were stay-at-home moms, to go out into the workforce and earn enough income to support themselves. So they went on welfare. Well, all the states went, "Oh my gosh, we can't pay all this welfare and food stamps. We need to make the father pay." Well, the courts were like, whatever. And then so the federal part of it really got inserted at that point to say, "Okay, we're going to incentivize you to collect child support because you guys are drowning in debt with the welfare stuff." And the state said, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're being incentivized to do our job, collect child support for our constituents." And then it was working. And then they went, "Wait, we can really get some money off of this." And then here we are today.
Well, I mean, since people don't understand that system, like I've seen several articles about how Texas has set those records for child support collection. There's many people that gets to read that article and thinks, "Man, they're doing a great job." They don't understand what's on the inside of that, right?
A lot of stuff. And
optics, man. Smoke and mirrors.
A lot of it's optics. I mean, well, I just published some information that Texas had been, over the last decade, putting a new child support 2.0 software system in place. And they spent I'm going to get the numbers wrong, $212 million, of which federal funding, your tax dollars, our tax dollars, paid 88,000, whatever, 66 cents of that number is, $212 million. And then they just put a line item in last year's budget that they've closed it down. They're not implementing the solutions. They blew $212 million of federal, 880 some odd thousand of it was federal. The rest of it's, in our Texas state tax dollars, and they were basically scrapping the entire system. So there was waste. But again, when you know that you can just take the money from this magical federal government money, you'll do anything.
Perfect.
You got to feed the monster.
Perfect plan. Oh, yeah, really quick. Getting back to the voicemail. There's two comments down here, and that's the thing. We got to make sure when this is talked about that we cover all bases, because it's so easy for people to misunderstand or to make their own interpretation of what we're trying to do here, and that can happen on both sides, right? So we want to hear all viewpoints. Shannon Booz on here said, "Monitoring the spending of support is not feasible. Say grocery receipt gets sent in. The paying parent will complain the groceries are shared. So what then? Want parent to buy single serve, pre-made, preservative-filled stuff? It's just absurd." And I'm going to get to that preservative stuff. "I saved my son's support as much as possible and ended up buying him a car with dad's support money and monthly car insurance of $220 for teen boy." I'm not too sure what went on in your personal situation, Shannon, but just the fact that you're saying that there was, they're going to fuss over if it's got high fructose corn syrup or preservative. That's usually a relationship that's going to fuss about everything, not just the support, right? That's just where people are getting petty. And there's a lot of these relationships out there that do that. And I would think most of these guys that you're hearing from right now, if they found out that that money went towards groceries and was going into their kids' mouths, they're not going to get upset. If their kids being dressed nice, they're being taken care of, they're going to their doctor's visits, they're nice, healthy kids that are being taken care of. Now, if the parent looks like they're taken care of more than the child, you got a problem. Okay. And then that's when these guys want to know, where is my money going to? And the other thing is, if you got groceries with it, show that receipt. Like, look, you know how much it costs. Dude, at one point in time, I had 5 kids in the house, plus me and my wife. My grocery bill was ridiculous, especially since this last election cycle. Not to put, gas and everything up on. Dude, I used to buy $100 worth of groceries, and it lasted me a week or two. I knew how to buy cheap. I was a single dad. $100 I barely get you through a day or two now. You can't even go to McDonald's and buy for 7 people for under 50 or 60 bucks, right? So if you get to buy groceries, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem. Show them that receipt. Like, look, dude, I had to feed the kids, then they can't argue with you. But if it's one of these guys and they're seeing nails and you're going to the club and you're doing all this and the kid looks like they're not being taken care of over here, we could get some type of reassurance in there for them. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, look, okay, your relationship with your ex-partner has changed. You've got a divorce, you broke up, whatever, you have a kid involved. Everyone's got to grow up. This is where we're at. And I understand, it makes sense. I mean, flip the script a little bit. What if he was the one? He comes over, you get the kid back and he's, tattered jeans, whatever. And you're like, what did you do with this kid? Well, why should you be asking that question? When you want to get information as to what's going on. And if the dad, the parent goes, oh yeah, we were playing football and he fell down in the mud and ripped his jeans. And it was right before I had to drop him back off. Here I am. You go, oh, okay. Makes perfect sense. But if the kid comes and he's got ratty clothes and everything, and you come in your new Maserati or your new motorcycle or whatever, and all that, and you're like, where'd this go? Well, instead of spending the child support on that, I decided to go to the clubs and do this and do that. That's what it's for. I mean, these people that are, saying, oh, well, I shouldn't have to do this, or I shouldn't. Look, your relationships change. This is the new reality. This is where you're at. And yeah, there's going to be the occasional, I'm wanting to check up on you, or that's going to happen. But the majority of people, I mean, as long as most people understand where my money's going, they're going to be okay with it.
That's it. I'm with you, brother. And you know how we was talking about earlier, when you hear some of these comments or the voice or whatever, you can kind of tell where somebody's at. This one right here, I'm going to say, is somebody that's started going down the rabbit hole, getting a little bit of the red pill, and they're wanting to see some solutions being made. Hope Abounds said, what about replacing the federal funding with something else that would ensure co-parenting? This is a person that's trying to think of the solutions.
Yeah.
If they won't change it because they're going to lose money, is there another way that we can make it profitable for them? And dude, that is something that a lot of us have questioned. What way can we replace that money? Because that's the reason that they're not wanting to change it. At the same time, I get where that's coming from. I've thought about that myself. It just creates more corruption.
Yeah.
Anytime, they do not need to make any money at all off the destruction of families.
Right.
None. If they need to pay their employees, the courthouse, or whatever, there is ways that they can get this money without being attached to this blood money. Because there is a lot of blood on people's hands with creating this system right now. A lot. Okay. It is broken. It has failed. It is beyond broken. And for everybody that says, well, my case is okay, there's millions that aren't. Millions. It's not about our personal cases. And when you hear some of these other stories and what's going on for the majority of people, it's alarming. It really is.
The best thing you can do, I mean, again, they've had 80, 90, 100 years of setting this up. They've got a perfected system. It is what it is. It's not going to change overnight, or if ever. The best thing you can do is be an adult and get out of the system. Don't be a part of this.
Dude, I just got a really good point. Somebody on YouTube said, I wonder if the lady that bought the car for the kid told the kid that was dad's money that bought him the car insurance, or acted like it was her good nature. Like, I don't think he's trying to take a shot, but that is a good thing. Did you explain to him that car got bought with dad's money that he was putting support? Or did you say, look, I made sure it went towards him? It was both of you. It was both of you. And you know what? In a good co-parenting relationship, you guys could come together and just do that without the system, right? Dude, I envy my wife sometimes. She's got such a good relationship with her ex, dude. And like, they just did that for their kid. And it's like, hey, kids need something. Dude, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
It really is. I didn't get that. But it's the way it should be. And there's no reason it couldn't be. That's why we tell you, keep it out of the courts. By the time you go to the courts, that's where a lot of this stuff comes up. That's why you're going to start fussing about high fructose corn syrup and preservatives and whether he's brushing his teeth and all this other stuff. It creates adversarial nature, and it becomes about mudslinging. You're not there to say how good of a parent they are. They should start off family court and say, tell me something good about your ex, how they are as a parent. That one little thing could dispel a lot of that conflict when most people be like, hell no. But that was
Well,
somebody that you love. There's good qualities in everybody, even the most evil ones, man. Like, try to decrease the conflict. The courts to do anything but.
well, the Netflix, The Marriage Story.
Yep.
That's what you were talking about. That perfectly parallels what happened in that movie. They just, for whatever reason, didn't work out. They were trying to move forward. They got attorneys involved, and then it got all sideways because, again, feeding that beast. And then, yeah, talking about the car story. I mean, again, with Texas, I didn't have a choice. I'd love to say I did, but I didn't have a choice with the child support court. My youngest son knows that when he turns 18, this is getting handed to him and where it came from. That's that above board thing. But again, the best thing you can do at this point, and I know it's you got to deal with your ex, you got to deal with whatever, and you may currently be receiving child support or paying it or whatever. You've got to get yourself out of that system. Sit down, make an agreement, put your big boy pants and panties on, and work out an agreement that you both sign. Take it to court, accept, and the judge is going to fight back because again, he's part of the system. I mean, I keep trying to reference Matrix here. He's part of the system. He's in the system, or he or she is in the system. You've got to set yourself free.
I keep trying to go to these voicemails, and then you got it again, dude. I've had so many of these high conflict cases that come and tell me my ex, they will not cooperate with me at all. Everything is a war, and it started when they got in family court, right? Mm-hmm. And they said they're never going to listen. They're never going to have any compromise. And I'm like, let's try something here. And this has worked so many times. Reach out to the ex. And it's like, that's not even going to reach out to the ex. Say, look, I know that we haven't been seeing eye to eye, but this is our child, and I want to do what's in the best interest. I've got, some of my feelings. You've got some of your feelings, and I know sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but we can come together because we both love this child. Let me ask you a question. I'll let you name the place. I'll let you name the time. You tell me where to be. Let's go sit down. Let's go have a cup of coffee or something like that and see if we can come together and talk about parenting our child. And somebody might say, that's never going to work. And it's a lot of times it might not, but I have seen it work so many times because you did something in that conversation that a lot of people will overlook. You showed them, I am willing to do a little bit of compromise and say, you have control of where we meet. You have control of the time. And that's my first way of stepping outside of my own and saying, here, I'm going to do something that you tell me. It's a little thing. Most of the time, I'm not going to do anything that you tell me, right? But I just showed you a little bit of give. Now, I know MPD, BPD, all the other Ds that are going to be out there with the disorders, okay? You're not going to be able to do that. Sometimes the family court creates the alienation. Okay, because they get caught up in the battle. If it's a mental thing, it might not work. But if it's the family courts that have stirred up the chaos, sometimes you can put it back together, guys.
It's your kids. It's worth it. It's worth the chance.
It definitely. I mean, dude,
and make it any worse.
What do you got to lose? You can go and sit with the attorneys and the judges and let them try to do it for you because that's what you're going to do if you want to go through it. If there is a way that you can do it before it goes to these criminals, okay. That's the way you should do it. Keep the voicemails coming in. Dude, we're going to end up at the same place we did yesterday. I don't know that it's possible. 762-441-0281. Keep them coming in.
This is Hannah from Iowa. My husband has a daughter who is currently 12 years old, and we have 50-50 custody, and he pays the mom child support. I do think that receipts should be shown, and come to find out, a few years back, we found out she biologically was not his, and she refuses to drop the child support. So we continue to pay her child support, even though we have 50-50 custody. We pay for the health insurance, and we don't see that she's even paying for anything. We're still buying our daughter clothes and paying for school things and paying for doctor's visits. Meanwhile, she's getting paid child support and doing what with it? This is Hannah.
Well, so, I mean, there it goes, man. I mean, people want to know where the money's going. We're doing this, and then we're going above and beyond. And they probably would do even more, but they just want to make sure that the other side is putting in their part too. It's like one side becomes the visitor, and the visitor is usually the one that becomes financially responsible, right? That sucks.
Part of the
That
Title
sucks.
4D funding, that
Title 4D.
unequal. Yep. She did say
We
something
should
that
make a shirt. It works exactly as it's designed.
exactly Far Side shirt or something in Title 4D. But she did say something, she was talking about our child and things like that. That I mean, that is great. That even though they determined it was not, his biological child, that they're still, they've bonded, they've made that relationship. And again, at the end of the day, the person hurt, the biggest person hurt here is the child. They're gonna carry that. I wonder if maybe again, Iowa, I think it was Iowa, is a earned, income share state. So there you go there. And maybe petitioning the courts. I'm sure that the time frame for the kid's 12, so I'm sure there's no going back to court to change that information. That won't happen. But maybe petition the courts to take him off child support at this point, since they're not going to, unless by agreement with her, with the mother. It sounds like she probably won't do it because she's getting cash and prizes. So why should she change? I mean, and that goes back to the incentives and the abuses and all that. That's just, now more and more I'm thinking about it, more I'm just going, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, this is what would happen. And we're not in a perfect world.
No, we're not. And it's crazy. The last comment came in from Iowa too, along with the caller. We was there last year, guys, Capitol. And I got to give it, I think Nicholas Dreesen is the one that does a lot of the advocacy work up there. Dude, they let us set up Dad Talk, our whole setup, in the middle of the Capitol. And like all the House and the senators took turns coming down there to talk to us about it. I think Iowa is one of those states. When we talk about legislation, you might be able to get something going. They just need to get some more people involved up there and getting some stuff going. One of the most important conversations I've had with a politician happened there, because there was a guy that voted against the shared parenting bill. It was a senator. And he came to talk to me to tell me why he didn't think it was there, but he also wanted to hear our argument on why. And so I had a little strategy. I mean, if you guys want to use it, we're going to be an open book, and I'll tell you what I do. So we started off, asked him if he was dad, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, are you a granddad? Or when he said he was a dad, he's like, I got several grandchildren too. And I was like, okay, that's where I'm going. I was like, so I was like, what's your grandchildren mean to you? He's like, it's the best thing I've ever done. Love it, love it, love it. And I was like, see, here's the, and I said, I want you to remember there's another side of this conversation. It's not just parents that get alienated. It's the grandparents. And I said, imagine your kids go through a divorce, right? It's got nothing to do with mom and dad, but because one of your kids is going through a divorce, now you're not seeing your grandkids. I said, now, how does that make you feel? That's why we're talking about this. This senator stopped, looked me dead in my eyes and said, you got me. He said, you got me. He was like, I didn't think of it that way. He didn't look too happy about it, because afterwards, I think he was there to prove a point, but I got to give some respect to the guy because he was willing to hear another viewpoint, right? And I would have listened to what he's got to say too, but it got him. It was like, oh yeah, grandparents, this could be me. Sometimes if you tell the story and make them relate to what if it was you, right? Stop talking about your story so much. Make them walk a mile in your shoes by telling your story, by making them walk a journey in it. What if it happened to you, right? And I learned that from Carnell Smith. I'm not going to lie to you. There were several times when I first got here and I never talked to some of these guys. They'd be just dropping these nuggets of wisdom on me. And I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And then I'm in the middle of doing it and I'm like, it clicks. And that was one of them, man. That was one of them. So I get it shared with me. I want to share it with you. I know you got something to say, Dwayne.
Well, it's two things I try to do. One is essentially that is, getting people to live in the world they create, or, turning it around. Like, what if this was you, or have you thought about it this way, and things like that. And two, I do a method called stone in the shoe. I'm not, a person's going through a journey and they're not going to maybe come over completely to another side or change their viewpoint, like something like that. Senator, he changed his mind, or at least gave him something to think about. And he may have talked to 20 other equal shared parenting advocates, and they all said something, did the word vomit or did the whatever, and then you gave him something to think about and made it real for him. He's like, oh, okay.
And that's the reason why it's good to kind of know a little bit of everything on the subject, right? I think we need people that are experts in Title 4D and CPS and all that, and we need people that are specialized in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know a little bit of the overall problem, I know just enough that I can make my point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert in anything, but anytime I've started all of those conversations, I've had several people tell me that's a bad way to start off a show. I'll just be like, hey, I've got Dwayne Moore on the show today. Dwayne, tell everybody a little bit about you, because while I'm hearing you, I'm finding out where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if I find out, hey, he obviously doesn't care too much about father's rights, and there's not going to be much sympathy there, but I'll get you, granddad. I'll get you, granddad, because you're a part of this conversation. Everybody that hears this conversation, there is a way to make them relate back to it, because it does matter to them. They don't think it does because they're not in family court right now, but it does matter to them. Make no mistake. It might not matter to them directly, but there is family that's going to be, if they're not affected by it, they're going to be affected by it, or they got a friend. I think almost just everybody, I would make that statement. Everybody knows somebody that's been through it.
Yeah, everybody.
I think there's no exception on that.
Yeah, everybody's been hit by some way, and making it relatable and making it real for people. Like, you have people that they're single, they don't have children. Oh, this doesn't impact me. Well, actually, the research was done that every year this issue costs $112 billion to taxpayers. That impacts you. You drive down the street and you work with people every day. Well, people that are impacted by the issues that we're having, you work with them when we have unfortunate shootings and things like that. That comes from this. All these things are intertwined and related, and everyone's impacted, making it more real for the grandparent situation, or the mother that, or the young lady that was happy about taking the child support. What if she has a son, and 10, 15 years from now he gets a girl pregnant, and she does the exact same thing to her son that the mother is doing to his father, trying to put all that together there. How does that feel? And it makes them think. And again, the other thing is just, being a stone in the shoe. You're not going to, convert someone or do the whole thing today. But if enough people are sharing that message, Dwayne, the pissed off parent, comes and talk to you, and he's like, oh God, that guy's a whack job. And then you hear, Eric, say, Title 4D, blah, 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 blah. And then you hear, Brandon and Julie and Juan and Kurt and all these other people. And again, thank you for joining and listening to us talk here. But all these people say the same message the same way. They're like, there's something to this. Right. I need to get more involved, or I need to think about this more, or they get educated and start sharing with other people. That's what we're talking about. It's not about getting likes. And I mean, unfortunately, we have to get the likes and all that to get that out in the algorithm, but it's getting it out to where people see it and go, yeah, I heard about this weirdo talking about Title IV, whatever the heck it is. Or, oh my God, you hear that story about the young girl here, or they're transitioning some kid in Texas? And then let me find out more about that. What's going on there? That's what all this is about.
It's hard to cancel people when everybody's to the table.
Yeah,
that's just it, man. There's politicians and other influencers and stuff that have had their social medias taken away, and sometimes it makes their voice even stronger, right? And so that's what this movement really needs. And that is a great segue for that, Dwayne, to say we are at 1 hour and 48 minutes, and we still got voicemails to go. So there's some of you that's been listening to us the whole time, and I feel sorry for you. But you might not be able to donate any money at Christmas time right now because you got bills coming up, but it costs you nothing to hit that like, share, and subscribe. That helps us. That helps doing what we're doing right now. We could be doing other stuff. We're here because we believe in this community and we want to see this change. So if you can do that one little thing for us, That goes a long way. I'm going to read this comment right here because I want to give the commenter time to write me back on it while we're listening to one of the voicemails. And if you'll write me back on it, I promise you I'll read it. Kurt Jeffrey, he was from Iowa. He said, I went the route of the courts in Iowa. It has seriously caused more severe issues overall. Remember when I was talking about, I don't think it's always mental. Sometimes that the family courts create the trauma. Maybe it was a situation where it might have been okay had the family courts not got involved. Kurt, I want to hear, is that true? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but you said it sounds like the family courts made it worse. Is that something that you think you would have been much better off had you not went in there in the first place? All right, guys, we're going to get back to the calls. 762-441-0281.
Hello, Eric. My name's Taylor, and I'm from Idaho. And, in regards to child support with the court system, I definitely think it's a scam. I definitely think it's not about the child. In my circumstance, I had an audio recording where my child's mother was laughing in my face at a custody exchange and basically bragging about how she doesn't spend my child support money on our son. We went to court, and at the time that child support was to be addressed, I was being alienated from my son. My attorney had just requested my son's Snapchat and kids messenger information. And 24 hours after that, magically, his child's mother blocks that information from me. And then my attorney is asking me about child support. And I was like, child support? I'm being blocked from my son's phone. We're not talking about child support right now. And my attorney tells me that they need a profit and loss statement because I'm self-employed. And I said, I'm not providing that. And she goes, well, if you don't provide a profit and loss statement, we're just going to go off the highest number of your tax return. So here's a scenario, Eric, where you have a father with an audio recording of the mom laughing in his face, trying to get under his skin about how she doesn't use his child support money on the kid. And the court system's trying to get my child the court system wants to get my financial information for child support for a girl that admits she doesn't use it on the kid while I'm being alienated and blocked from my son's phone. And then, the other thing was she had sent me a smiley face and was bragging about how her husband's income supported our son. And they refused to, give me a break off that. It's like, this is your legal partner who you're admitting supports our son, and they wouldn't even bring his financials into it. But forget that. The big thing is I'm being alienated from my kid, and you're threatening to use the highest number on my tax return if I don't provide my financial information for child support that's being recorded, not even used for the kid. Thanks, Eric, and keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate Dad Talk. Bye-bye.
Thank you, brother. I just got back from Idaho not long ago, and I guarantee you, for anybody that's watching right now and heard that story, you get triggered many times because, Dwayne, we've been doing this, rolling in on 5 hours between the last 2 days, and we still get the subjects that come up, and he's like, we thought we had covered everything, and they just keep coming up, and it's like, oh, there's a whole other area. These guys that they want to base their child support off of an amount that they're not making anymore. That's my story, dude. When I started Dad Talk is because I was losing my job. I went and got a brand new job. I left a job I'd been at 5 years because I wasn't making enough money as a single dad after I took care of 2 kids to pay an attorney. I had no money left. And I was working 60 hours a week. I can't work anymore. I actually got made fun of by some of the employees a lot of times, and they would pick at me because I didn't want to go home. I was trying to get all the overtime I could get. And that might be easy for them to look down on, but what they didn't realize is it was that was my way of making money. Throw me in, coach. I got to make the money. I got to take care of my babies. And I could not afford the attorneys. So the only option I had was to try to find a better job that was going to pay me more money. And I found one. They was like, Eric, we want you here. We're going to give you management. We're going to give you promotion, all these different things, more money. And it sounded amazing, dude. And I thought, man, I'm finally going to be able to fight this family law battle. I wasn't even at that job 1 month, Dwayne. They tell us we all have to stay at home and call in to a meeting nationwide. This was Nestle, man. That's a huge company.
Yeah.
Nestle, okay? And all the employees that had been there for years said, I've never heard of this before. And it was like, they've never made us do this. We're shutting down. It's like, no way. Dude, I was there 1 month.
1 month, yeah.
They were shutting down. So what they do is when a company starts to shut down, if anybody's ever been through their job closing down, they'll offer you so much money to stay there, and then you'll get like a severance bonus based upon that. Right. Same thing. I know I'm losing my job. 70 hours a week, man. Every hour that I could put in as a CDL driver, I wasn't going home. I've got to do this because the last job I just left that wasn't making enough money, I can't go back to. They just went bankrupt, and they have since shut down. Okay. Now this job is about to go under. My industry is going away. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And so while I was doing those 70 hours a week, that's where I came up with the idea of Dad Talk. I said, I am tired of sitting here and putting pizzas and ice cream and milk on the shelf and running these little route jobs, because I was made for more than this. I was the son of a pastor. I saw my dad making a difference in people's lives. I didn't have a podcast to listen when I was doing those 70 hours a week and finding out what was going on. That's where Dad Talk came from. But I worked that, right? And then when I got out of that, that was in, I think, around like March. They shut down in November. I got a paycheck until next January, and then they gave me a little bit of a severance bonus. Well, here's the thing, Dwayne. Had that job stayed, I could have went and fought the battle. That job didn't stay.
Right.
I would have went and fought the battle right then. After I got that bonus, right? What would have happened to me? My industry's gone. Yeah. My industry's gone. But they would have based it upon
what happened to me.
Potential. You have the potential, and that's what these guys go through. It's not people that don't want to be there. Somebody could have took that argument and everything, and if they told it in their own words, here's a deadbeat that just don't go to the courts and he won't do anything. You don't know what these guys are up against, man. Right. I hate hearing these guys that this happens to.
Yeah, just do this, or just get a better job, or do this. No, I mean, it's real life. And that's actually what happened to me. I mean, they based my modification years ago on a one-time hiring bonus that I received. That obviously it was a nice little bump to incentivize me to come work there. And they said, "Oh, this is your child support number." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's a one-time. It says hiring bonus. Doesn't matter. Again, Title 40 funds. That's how they make their money. They don't care."
Well, dude, even in the times when I barely was able to make my bills. I'm a hard worker. Not many people could have went and made a podcast and did what I do. I put everything I had into it. I said, I'm not going to fail on this. And I had 10,000 followers before the first podcast came out. That was the networking and grinding. There's nothing out there in this life that if you don't want it and you work towards it, you can't get. Okay. And I knew like I didn't have anything else. But guys, I mean, the fact that these guys would be held back because of money issues, even in my worst, I would have found some type of grind out there, Dwayne, something, a side job, something. I would have been able to feed my kid. I would have been able to take care of my kid. I would have made sure they had everything they need, but you don't get that yet. If it was really about support and we knew that that person would do what was needed, we'd make sure he's got that time. It's not about that. We need you on that child support system. Right. We need you on that. And before you get in the child support system, you got to go in the family courts. And before you get to go in the family courts and find out what time you're going to get, if you are an unmarried father, we hadn't talked about that much, okay? If you're an unmarried father in the state of Georgia, you got to go through the legitimation process first. What's that going to be? I got to do my paternity test, make sure that the kid's mine. But the first thing they're going to do is financial statements, get you on child support. Right. You go through all that, which is just like fighting a legal battle of itself. And then you might not have any money left, but then you still got to go fight and find out when you can see your kid. Then you got to pay the child support.
Yeah, they get child support and visitation, everything else is a totally separate thing. We enforce one thing, but we don't enforce the other. Guess which one I'm talking about, and all that. Yeah, I mean, you brought up another group, the Unmarried Father. There's a group that was started years ago, very popular, and actually that is going to be that's the trend. I mean, with marriages have remained roughly the same, but the unmarried category with children is spiking. I mean, that's becoming the norm because again, the institution of marriage is going away. But that's becoming it, and we have this more and more and more.
Crushing the narratives, though, man. There's always a way to make it look like it's not the problem that it is. You know, I got asked to write an article for a publication one time, and I was talking about the problems with divorce, and I had the office calling me up and was like, "Hey, Eric, look, man, divorce isn't that bad of an issue. Divorce is almost at the lowest it's been in a long time." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "But what about single parents?" And I was like, single parents is on the rise. Divorce is only declining because people aren't getting married.
Right.
All right. Which narrative do you want to put out there? Now, if I wouldn't have known to ask that, we would have had to go in there and make it look like, oh, this is good. Divorce is going down. No, man, people aren't getting married anymore. I'm one of those guys that believe in the traditional nuclear family. I wish that you could get married and have your kids and everything was nice and beautiful because that was the way that it was meant to be. It was when the government got their hands in it that we got to where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. Name a good government program. I'll wait.
Uh-oh. Dang, that is a challenge. Guys, can you name a good government program? Even the stimuluses that we got, we're paying for that now.
Oh, boy.
We give you free money. I mean, that's a whole other political discussion right there. But what is one good government service that we don't pay for 10 times over dearly? You know, child support is just another way that they can get tax. You know, and why? Here, there's another one. I can't believe nobody's brought this up yet. Why can't you claim your child support on your taxes?
Well, again,
you see how there goes the rabbit hole, guys.
Free money. Well, again, it's the incentives and all that. Yeah, the paying parent can't claim it on taxes, and the receiving parent doesn't have to claim it on there at all either. And they've done the same thing now with alimony. You know, again, there's so many rabbit holes we can go down, but you know they've changed that law, I believe, as of last year, to where alimony can't be claimed.
Well, dude, we're gonna get that child support out of you before your check gets taxed. We're going to gross pay.
Yeah, we joke that child support. I jokingly call it alimony part due, because that's essentially a lot of times what it is.
Robin Williams said he at first thought it was called alimony, but he figured out it was called all the money.
Yeah.
I miss Robin, dude. Look at that. There was a guy with a smile on his face and made many of us laugh, and we had no idea the demons that he was fighting, man. That's just
another thing too. Always be nice because you don't know what people are going through. I mean, me personally, I mean, I have a smile on my face, but there's a lot of stuff behind the eyeballs. You don't know what fight people are fighting. Be nice, show compassion where you can. We're all in this together. No one's getting out alive.
Allergies getting me.
Oh,
Flonase.
Flonase
needs to sponsor the show. I'm going to start showing all the products. Hopefully they'll reach out and want to sponsor the show. I'd asked Kurt Jeffrey about the if it was the family courts and what was going on there. He said it's okay. Basically, if I would have known the amount of potholes and gray areas that came out of it, it brought more grudges overall from all parties and family. It encourages the family that might be able to do this to get in there and fight. A family that still got, even though they're not husband and wife anymore, it's still their child. There's a relationship there. It's not a loving relationship, but yes, it is, because they both love the child, right? Mm-hmm. They just don't love each other.
Right.
Okay. And so we should be encouraging people. Look, man, it's humanity. Look at the school shootings. Look at the crime out in your neighborhood right now. Don't you think we should be making the world a better place? I'm going to do it again. Keep your calls coming in. 762-441-0281. Here we go.
Hey, my name is Ronald McLaughlin, and I'm calling from the Baltimore, Maryland area. And the child support, the child support, it goes back to the date it was filed. So a limited divorce was filed. It sits at the courthouse, goes through the attorneys, sits there for almost 2 years. 2 years. I have every attorney coming at me. She hired multiple attorneys. And then about 2 years later, I have a child support hearing. And I have no problem supporting my children, no problem supporting my kids whatsoever. Always have, always will. So I have a hearing on the child support, and a month later I receive a phone call from a child support worker working at home. This is during the pandemic. And they said, "You're $30,000 in the arrearages." I said, "How can that be? I never had a hearing on child support. I never had a bill. I never had a request for child support." So anyways, they garnished my wages. I'm mission critical essential personnel for the U.S. Army. They garnished my wages, $1,900 a month. I asked for an audit. I'm paying and paying and paying. I asked for an audit. I said something is not right. It's awful high. They're taking my tax refunds, everything. I asked for an audit. They raised it. Again, they've raised it 4 times in 2 years. I'm paying close to $2,800. This is all within 2 years. It's gone up from $700 to $2,800. I'm working my butt off 16 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't even take a day off. 65% of your disposable income. You're getting taxed on this. You're getting taxed on the income. You don't even see 1 penny of the income. You don't even know if it's going to the children. I might have had 12 days off in the past year. It's just not good. It's just not good. So I have advocated for fathers. I have worked with fathers. Legislation needs to change. I have no... Hey, my name is...
It cut him off, man. Dwayne, did you catch... did he say he's paying $1,900 a month or
$2,800?
That's
it went
what
up,
dude. And let me tell you something. Even being, especially being in the military, they don't get paid the greatest anyway. But in the state of Baltimore, to be taking that much child support, it's one of the poorest places, man. Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. I do got some people we know up there. That's something, Ronald. And like I said, guys, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. If there is somebody that'll come on here and that will talk about these issues, show them respect. If there's something that you want to ask or you don't agree with, give them a question. And then that's how we do debate. But I got somebody that fought really hard up in Baltimore that's supposed to be coming on the show sometime soon. And I'd love them to hear that comment. Y'all might know her, Miss Kim Klasick. So I was talking to her about this the other day. $2,800 a month. You know, you ever see, Dwayne, you get, it's hard to separate ourselves from our own cases, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the same for the advocates. Most of them are here because of their story. But we once you hear somebody else is going through it and what they're paying and what they're doing, it just makes you think, oh my God, you know,
$2,800 a month. Oh my God.
We're not talking about Kanye.
Yeah, we're talking about
for the United States military.
And thank I didn't get the gentleman's name, but thank him for his service.
Yeah,
okay. Thank you for your service. I'm sorry. Well, that gets into all other thing, but the way they treat our vets, the way our military personnel in general in this situation, the amount of data on that is just staggering. But to claim to love the military and all that and do this to them, and then this guy is expected to go out and fight the battles that we can't fight, aren't equipped, too old, too scared to whatever. But this guy's out there doing the job, getting it done, and then we're doing it, taking his kids away and breaking them. But we expect him to go out there and do the right thing.
You want to know the truth, Wayne, is going to sound pretty bad, but they don't care about our military. That's just a way to get political clout and sympathy and votes, right? They could give a crap less about our military. They use that. They'll be the first ones to scream on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and stuff like that. God bless our country. They could give a crap less about our vets, because if they did, you'd be doing something about shit like this right here.
Exactly.
That's it. I called you out. Show me why you're not. I'm wrong. Show me. I want you to prove me wrong. I'll get on here and say, you proved me wrong. You're not going to prove me wrong.
Yeah,
this guy's doing a damn thing.
This guy's Maryland or Delaware?
Maryland.
Whoever's on here, send this information to governor, whoever there, and tell them to do something about it. And if they don't want to help this guy out,
send it to Kim, man. I want her to hear. She's got some pull up there. We've been up there, and then dude, I mean, even there, that's the political climate and everything that's going on. You talk about corruption, man. When me and Robert was up there on the streets, we went to the streets of Baltimore, one of the worst places you could be in this country, dude. And I was just talking to some of the people in the community, and there's like 9 out of 10 homes are abandoned. They're still there. And there's people, some of these places haven't been lived in 30, 40 years. And I said, does anybody ever come down here and see what's going on or talk to you guys? He's like, no. It was like they do around election cycle. And I said, so they give you lots of promises. I said, how many have they delivered on them? He's like, well, they really don't. I said, did you vote for him? Yeah.
Yeah, our whole voting that's another conversation.
Thing. But I mean, it is still a part of the problem. And we want to tell people that our vote matters. Dude, again,
educated voters. We need to get educated voters, which is a whole other topic. We had in the county I'm in, Tarrant County, had a whole other issue there. We're trying to educate voters on these matters and things like that and where it went. We need to get people educated on the issues, and again, we need to get people out of the system. I mean, the system is designed to work the way it's working. These are horrible stories. I wish I could offer, encouraging words, support, direction, and things like that. But the system is set up in such a way, they have closed all the loopholes. This is the Matrix. They have closed all the loopholes, and there's no Neo going to save us.
Nope.
We've got to save ourselves.
I would like to talk to Keanu, though.
Oh, man.
He seems like a really good guy.
Oh, yeah.
He seems different than the Hollywood elite.
Yeah, completely different attitude. He seems like a super nice guy. Yeah.
And while we could talk down on politics and talk about our votes not counting and then get into that circle where you're not supposed to talk about politics, at the same time, guys, it is a part of the process, because until, again, it makes some money or votes, they don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying to watch how you vote. I'm saying let's get in here and get enough people so when we talk about that, it means something. Right?
Well, to the point, people are like, oh, you just want, likes and whatever. When you get a hold of Senator X or whoever X and say, I want you to make a change or do something, the first thing they do is go to your social media and check how many followers does this guy have? How many likes? That's the first thing. And if you have under X, they're not going to waste their time on you. Why would they?
Dude, I mean, in the early stages, which I was blessed, I talked about before the first podcast, there was 10,000 followers. That was a decent crowd. Mm-hmm. But even then, up until I hit like 100,000, you'd ask some of these guys to come on and talk about these issues. They wouldn't even respond to you.
Right.
But once the numbers started growing, they started coming to us.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, we want to get on the show. We want to do this because people are wanting to promote, especially politicians, because they can get votes off of it.
Right.
That's what I say. The bigger we get this platform, the more voices we get in here. And some of those conversations, guys, might not be the most popular conversations, right?
And they
can be a little dry.
And these legislators, they do know who we all are. I mean, Pissed Off Parent, again, made the name for a number of reasons. The guys, at least in Texas, they've heard of Pissed Off Parent. They've heard of Dad Talk Today. They've heard of the Unmarried Father, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. I mean, all the different groups. They know who we are, but they're not going to give us that sound time and, do something until they see, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my election or lose votes or whatever. And that's why we need to get those numbers up and get the message out there.
That's right, guys. And we came on here saying we wasn't going to go as long as yesterday. It looks like we're passing it. I still got a few. Let's get to these. And you know what? I'm glad. As long as people are showing up, they're listening, they're getting involved. That's what matters. Like, share, subscribe. Keep the voicemails coming. 762-441-0281. Here's the next caller.
Hey, it's Bradley Jakes from Alberta, Canada. I've called in before. So this is for the child support part. So my 17-year-old, I got taken back into court again for revisement of child support. She's on income assistance in Canada. They deduct dollar for dollar on every dollar she gets. So I was ordered to pay $25 child support because the government was just deducting $25 off of her monthly income. So before me was actually a woman, and she lives at home. She makes over $3,000 a month. She admitted she doesn't pay rent or any of that kind of stuff. The female judge then said that she believed that that woman should not have to pay child support due to her low income and financial struggles. So then I'm on disability from a work injury. I pay a child support already. I pay $1,125 a month rent and utilities, plus all the groceries, plus truck insurance and fuel. And I have my son every single weekend. And I was ordered, and also, by the way, I make $1,150 every 2 weeks. So I make just over $2,200 a month. And the judge deemed that I should pay child support. And now it actually made it so I struggle even worse. On top of this, my 17-year-old lives about 2 hours away, so I don't even have the gas funds to even drive out to go and see him once he's ready to see me, as his mom's alienated him against me. I also exposed to the judge that she had been in breach of the custody order for 7 years, and I had not seen or talked to my son in over 7 years. I still haven't seen him in over 8 years at this point. Now he doesn't even want to talk to me. He hates me. She's turned him against me. So, yeah, I see the system fails us. And so I'm paying a child support to the government, not to my son. He doesn't get any of it because they deduct her the entire amount of child support that I pay, and it's $235 a month going in the government's pocket on top of the $250 I pay for my other son. And her lawyer wanted me to pay $600 in total for 2 kids. It was more than that, actually. Sorry, it was quite a bit ago. I think he was asking for something like $350 or $400 or something like that on top of the $250 I pay for my 3-year-old. But at my financial status, I can only be ordered, based off the child support calculator, to pay a maximum of $450 or something like that. So the judge was like, yeah, no, that was the only good thing they did for me. And it's not right because my son's not getting a penny of that. She makes the same amount now as she did before this. Hey, it's Bradley.
I cut off, man. Dude, I can hear. I get it. I get it. I get the frustration, and this is such a heavy thing. So I'm going to try to start this off on a little bit of a light thing. Canada, guys, you're hearing this. Like, there's tons of them, right? I was really questioning whether he was actually from Canada in the beginning because I never heard of A. But at one point, I've learned about those guys. I heard the yeah. Yes, he had that. Yeah. Dude, I am so sorry. I was just doing that, like I said, lighten the mood a little bit. And just like in the States, every state is set up different, has different laws. I am not as familiar with Canada's. I don't know how much you are, Dwayne. I know you're pretty good on the overall picture, especially Texas. But is there such a thing similar to Title 4D in Canada?
They have a similar, somewhat similar program. I'm trying to try to keep it the lower 48 or the United States. But as far as the our Canadian brothers. I think they have something similar, and it works. A lot of it's just roughly the same little nuances here and there. But yeah, the pass-through, that system's just working as it was designed to do, which was to recover welfare. That's the the part that, I know it sucks, but that's why it was made. And of course, people are profiting off of it, the other parts of it, but that is why, is to keep the normal taxpayer from paying for someone that doesn't want to work or can't work.
It's the same thing that drives it everywhere. That much we know. The laws might be set up different. They might have the system in a way, but it's made to funnel money back to the man, right? And the man is the one that's going to support the higher up man. I'm so sorry, man. I mean, we need to find out some more of that, because I have so many people reaching out from Canada, and I wish I knew a little bit more on how to get active there. It's not that we don't care. I mean, heck, we're trying our best in every one of these states too, and it's just a battle, man.
Oh yeah, it's all over the world.
Well, and that's what I was going to say.
All over the world.
Guys, I've been hearing from Singapore, Thailand, England, Australia, Canada, all over, man. I had a senator on from Australia not too long ago, Pauline Hanson, and she was blowing my mind. Their politics are almost identical to ours here. And the problem is actually worse over there. If you want to see your kid and you text your ex and say, hey, can I see my kid? That is considered domestic violence in Australia. Like, could you imagine? But dude, if it's happening all over the world and we've got all these little subsections, why don't we have a worldwide movement? I mean, we could change this for everybody if everybody came together, right? But
if the people, again, changing it in your county, city, state, country, the world, doing what's right for our children. I mean, other countries' laws. At times I go, you think United States laws are bad on this topic? You should go over to Asia, Australia. Oh, I mean,
South Africa.
It's insane.
Some of these places, it doesn't matter the circumstances. I know that it feels like that here in the United States too, but at least we have some that do good. You never know which part you're going to fall in between. There's some of those places. This is the way it is.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. Like no way. Touch on it really quick. Roy Jr. quick, because I was through this situation. I was reading the comment and I really sympathize with it. He said, they got me paying $834 a month. Doctor took me out of work for 9 months for 2 different surgeries. They refused to suspend or reduce it. My income is $0 a month. That was me, dude. I had an ACL injury, a complete tear of my ACL, sitting here at the house out in the middle of nowhere one day. And then here I am. I'm not even able to make money, right? And I'm already, dude, that kills a guy's pride when you can't work, because we're providers. I'm stuck at home. I feel, dude, it's bad enough. And then they don't even have any sympathy then. Where's the money going to come from? Now, this is going to come off the backs of somebody else, because he's going to have to go borrow that money or something. Because guess what? I can't work for 9 months. I got to pay that child support. And if I don't, I'm not going to be working for a lot longer. I'm going to have to get a ride to work because my license, or I'm going to be in jail.
And then if you go to jail, aren't there, and I'm throwing this out as one of those rhetorical questions, but if you go to jail, aren't there incentives for state-run jails? Don't they make money off of that?
Say, dude. One big circle. Take off the tinfoil hat. Let's get to the next call. 762-441-0281. Keep them coming, guys. Look, we're sticking on here. We're listening to you. And I hope you guys are appreciating and realizing the resource that we're trying to make here. So make sure you support. Here we go.
My name is Warren. I'm from Delaware. My specific issue or question I'd like to say is I just want insight on
Delaware.
I've been child support wise. Granted, if I lose a job, I expect to, of course, pay less, but that's not the case in my situation. I was told by the judge to find a better job. On top of that, with my ex being antagonistic, I found specifically a problem with her bringing her boyfriend to the court proceeding. I never met the man. The woman told me don't bring no women around my child. And I agreed to it because I guess that was a respect thing, but it wasn't respect on her part. It's a little simple. It's just the vent wise, that's just me venting in that regard. The brother tried to fight me. I wasn't feeling that at all. In the courthouse of all places. Crazy. But yeah, the state of Delaware is kind of ridiculous when it comes to getting child support amended in regards to if I lose a situation or if I lose a job or a financial situation changes. I was told 2 years, and then I gotta go for a modification. I can't go for a modification anywhere after that. And then on top of that, the antagonism, like, yeah, I'm rightfully I'm angry because again, I don't get my son often. But if you need that much financial help, give me my son. I'm actually a parent who wants to be around my son. It's a little frustrating. I just want insight provided if possible.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you calling in and sharing that with us, man. You know, I've said several times when we're telling people to get the voicemails in, questions, comments, concerns, maybe you just want to vent, right? This guy wanted to vent. And I know he was talking about child support concerns. And we'll get back to those concerns. I'll let you speak to that matter, Dwayne. This caller talks about the boyfriend, right? Here's a conversation, and he's saying the brothers want to fight me. You know, he's wanting to fight me. This is a serious thing, and I want you. I didn't know this. I didn't know this when talking to John Mass, right? I wish I would have. Several of the parents that I did last year. So what you're talking about is a very serious subject matter to me. I've seen my brothers' lives being taken from stuff like this. If you look at custody exchange murders and conflicts, there are moms that get killed too. We're going to go on both sides. Most of the time, if mom gets killed, it's going to be from the ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, whatever. When it is the dad, it's usually going to be a boyfriend, it's going to be a family member, or it's going to be a friend. Mom rarely does it. And what happens is she's got conflict with the ex. Then Mighty Mouse shows up and thinks he's the hero saving the day.
The White Knight.
He's the White Knight. He says she tells him he's toxic. He beat me. He did all these things, all those false allegations that she made against you to get that upper hand in family court, where she's told somebody this. And because men are so easy to manipulate with one thing, can I be honest?
Yeah.
If you're a pretty woman, you don't even have to be pretty. Men can be so easily manipulated by one thing. The way they say that women can be so easily manipulated by money, they can. Okay. We've seen it. The 18-year-old girl with the 70-year-old man. But the same thing, the men get manipulated all day long because they want that one thing, and they will sympathize, and they think that they are taken up for this woman. And then those emotions start getting high, and the conflict now creates this new person that's in there. And when you go to pick up your kid, here's this guy thinking, I can't let him get by. I got to protect my lady. I know what he put her through. I got to protect her from this deadbeat dad, this thing. And then they end up in situations like John Mast and these other parents that we've been talking to for the past year. So be careful with that. The courts don't really put much weight behind that there, Dwayne, that, you know what, make sure it's mom and dad. And the sad thing is, I've heard from many people when talking about this, they're like, I get along with the boyfriend or the girlfriend more than I do the other parent.
Yeah.
You're going to have those cases. But in those cases where that's not going on, I don't think there should be any question. If they don't want that going on, make sure it's just mom and dad showing up, doing this with the kids or whatever, court, whatever. They shouldn't allow it, man. It should cause too many problems.
Yeah, inviting conflict and more drama. We've talked about, the whole trying to remove drama from our lives, but yeah, increasing that drama, increasing conflict for, I don't know what the reason could possibly be to create, that whole situation is, I'm just at a loss. I mean, you should be moving on with your life, not getting, your new boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, to do this, and the personalities and all that. It's just, there's no reason for it. And again, the children are the ones that suffer at the end. They're going to grow up without a parent, or they're going to deal with this, or deal with that. I mean, again, John Mass being an example. And you're right. Yeah, we had talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I did a little bit of research, and there is a huge increase in these custody exchange murders. I need to get some more information on it, but they have been spiking over the last year or so.
Dude, it's okay.
That's another
I
rabbit
wish
hole.
I actually, and you know what? I am going to make a tinfoil hat because when I get on these, I'm gonna put it on. I'm like, okay, is this? I think I'm gonna get some badges that you guys can get on social media, and you can
Yeah.
actually start sending them. But if you look up that, Dwayne, I made a video that it's there on YouTube that talks about dangers at custody exchanges, and I went and got media. And I just collected it all, whether it was mom, whether it was dad, boyfriends, whatever, and just showed all these reports of where it was happening. But I had to do a lot of homework, whether it's male domestic violence, the custody exchange murders. If you go on there and put woman beaten man or male domestic violence, you go on YouTube or whatever, most of the time you're going to have a man beating a woman. And if you do that with the custody exchange murders, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to find where the man was doing this to the woman. You got to search for it. And if you guys will actually get in there and you will dip down and do some hardcore research, you might have to be on page 10, 15, or 20 before you start seeing what you need to in the searches. And each one of those search engines, DuckDuckGo and Google, is going to give you different results. And I don't know why, but they do. But look into custody exchange murders and how much it's happening. Why is it not being represented in the media? It is sensational. It is something that people want to know about. They report all the other murders and shootings. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get it on like little local media, but it's
Right.
not going to be like
National.
too much. And I believe that's, to go back and again, we talk about everything we talk about. The reason why the conversation stays the way it is sweep under the rug. Sweep it under the rug, make it look like it was not the problem that it was. There was did you see the one that happened last year with the post office worker?
Don't again, there's been so many. I'm thinking about the ones over Thanksgiving. We had, 3
this year.
Yes. Last week. Yeah. Custody exchange murders. And again, most people, they don't hear about them. We had 1 or 2 here in the county I'm from. There's probably thousands more, but they don't report these things because they don't want to talk about this whole, conflict and all that, because they can keep that money coming in.
And that's the hard thing about doing what we're doing here. You want to put a spotlight on it, but you're not ever going to be able to please everybody, right? And once that happened with John and we went out there and made that story, it seemed like every day, Dwayne, I had another family in my inbox. I just had a husband that got murdered. I got a son that got murdered. And then our show was covering that as much as we could because they wasn't getting coverage anywhere else.
Right.
And it started to become, Eric, the theme is getting really dark. Like I'm getting depressed when I go and watch this, and I'm like, what do you do, man? I mean, I there was a point in time, last year when I heard ding, just make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. And that's what happened with John, man. I got that early in the morning. I get up.
Negativity,
as we get older, sometimes we don't sleep all the way through the night. You got to get up and relieve yourself and pee. But before I do, I always check my phone because I never know who's on the edge, man.
Right.
And I don't know if that's from the PTSD, from the advocacy, and that's when I got the news about John. This is a real situation, guys. Do your homework. Another thing, while we're on the subject, because if I'm not careful with this one, I never want to look back and say, I wish I would have said this. Anytime one of your family members or somebody dies, how many of us go back and say, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done this. What if I would have done more? What if I would have done less? You get all these regrets. You have no idea how many I've had with John Mast. Like, if I would have knew that this is what he was going to go through, I should have said this. I should have said this. There was no way to know. Right. So we're going to talk about it today. A lot of people want to go to police stations to do these custody exchanges thinking, oh, that's going to help. John Mast did it at a grocery store parking lot thinking it was going to be in the public, and it didn't help a good bit. When you're looking at those custody exchange shootings, a good bit, almost the majority that I saw, are happening at the police station. Here's this guy talking about going through this, and it happened in the courtroom. He's got drama going on in the court, which no stranger to drama in the courtroom. But when these situations are breaking out, there could be some solutions. If we can make domestic violence shelters and have VAWA and all this other stuff, why don't we have safe custody exchange centers? And I guarantee you there would be much less of a need for custody exchange centers if they would clean these courts up, get some equality, and promote some peace. But
yeah,
there's my tangent. All right. You got something to say?
I say, and again, if you're feeling, hopeless, and there's, numbers you can contact, hotlines and friends. I mean, you have that, connection with other people and talk to them about that. If you're thinking about doing something crazy like shooting someone at a custody exchange, don't do it. I mean, because there's going to be repercussions. You think it's an end, it's not.
Future topic, just from a comment before I forget about it. Pete Morton said her boyfriend, I don't know what he's referring to. Her boyfriend has HIV, can't touch him. He cheats on his wife and she gets rid of him, catches HIV afterwards, then still is out there breaking families for money to live on. That kind of stuff happens. But I want you to think of how high the divorce rate is for the ones that are marrying. And the majority of the time that divorce happens, probably the number one reason is adultery. These are people that are sleeping out with people outside of their marriage. How many of you guys have got something you can't take back from something you had no clue about? You got a present. You got to, yeah, nobody's wanting to admit like, hey, they gave me this, they get the dude. That's, that's, and they get it. They get it without no knowledge of what was going on. That's sad. Some of the things that people's not thinking about in this community when all this crap is going on, man. Appreciate all the calls. We got 3 more. We're almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there. All right, here we go. 762-441-0281.
Yes, hello. I'm LJ from Marion, Iowa. And I just recently got out of child support about 2 or 3 years ago. And I absolutely hate the program. It's the most shittiest thing that they could ever do. It's a scam. I got scammed out of $1,200 a month for basically 18 years of my daughter's life. I never got to see her. Her mom was notorious with spending it on lavish trips and vacations for herself, while my daughter would wear shoes or clothes that were either smaller or hand-me-downs from her older brother. Her mom kept her from me for the last 5 years while I was still paying it. No criminal record, no sign of child abuse, with her. Her mom allowed her to drop out of high school at 17. She ended up getting pregnant. She's now 19 with a baby. But I paid ungodly amounts of money between that and health care while her mom had her on, state health care and the state benefits. And, they made me pay because her mom had 2 other children with 2 other men. And, because they were not paying or they weren't paying enough, they basically were gouging me to pay for all 3 of the kids. Her mom was vindictive, and the courts, the courts would just stand behind her and just ride with her and wouldn't give me an opportunity to speak, wouldn't give me an opportunity to have an attorney. And I did that, and they were also so gracious, especially the state of Iowa. They suck ass. I didn't know about my daughter for 2 years. And then they came along, and not only did they hit me for the current child support, but they came back and they hit me for the back 2 years or 2.5 years I didn't know about her. And I was, working at that time, an $8 an hour job, taking home $75 a week paychecks, trying to figure out how I was going to feed myself, clothe myself, where I was going to live. I actually was evicted out of an apartment once because of that, because I didn't have enough money. I just simply didn't have enough money with child support. I had another case where I just found out within the last 6-7 months that I had a 17-year-old, now 18-year-old son that I never even knew about, and was all freaked out because I thought they were going to go back for the whole 18 years of child support. And luckily I got off with 1 month of child support. Shortly after the 1 month was over, I ended up losing my job. So now here I am with 2 grown children that, the one child, the young child, the son. Yes, hello. I'm
dude, and let me say something really quick before we get into that. I know you saw us laughing, okay?
Yeah.
And for anybody that's out there that would think that we're just like playing into it or promoting it, look, if you were going through the things that these guys were, most of these guys are holding back, okay? We were laughing because we understand what he's going through, and it's okay. We're glad you're here, brother. We wasn't laughing at what we get it. Okay.
Yeah,
But-
definitely not. Yeah, laughing at you. Just
No.
I was wanting to make that little joke of I'm kind of unclear on how he really feels about the
About
child
Iowa.
support systems. Like I'm a little unclear there. But yeah, I mean, the systems we're going to design. I mean, one other thing, and I don't know if anyone's ever said this, but I guess for guys and girls, but guys, you've got to. We've had condoms for how long? I mean, having unprotected sex and things like that on both ends, yeah, regardless of your position. I mean,
Don't be silly. Wrap your willy.
exactly. There we go. There's the comment right there. I mean, there's culpability everywhere. People need to be responsible for their actions. I mean, the whole marriage and revolution and not even talking about that. You've got to be responsible. We have they hand condoms out in high schools. You can get them everywhere. I'll pay for them.
But can they not make a pill, Dwayne?
They do. They can get vasectomies.
Well,
Well,
yeah, dude. I don't want nobody cutting on that, dude. I've wanted to get it for so long.
well, funny
this
story.
drama.
Yeah, I've already got one. Actually, drove home from it in a stick shift truck by myself. True story. Because my then wife, now ex-wife, she didn't want to go with me anyway. But no, the doctor gave me. I had to get clearance from my spouse at the time to get the vasectomy. They didn't want to give it to me. I found that weird, and there's more. Like I've done a little bit more research because other men
Yeah.
have. Actually, that's a question. If anyone's trying to get a vasectomy, for males, to put in there if you got any pushback from the doctor or anyone in that process, because I've heard from a number of guys, and again, this is not something that comes up in casual conversation, but they've received pushback like you have to have your wife sign off on this. She has to agree to it. Don't know why. I have some ideas, but I'm just curious. But yeah,
Protect against paternity fraud and unwanted children. Helps the
there's-
abortion issue. It helps many things. Why would they not want you to do that? They'll give out free birth control.
oh yeah. I mean, vasectomies are 98, I believe, percent reversible. So if you decide you want to, there's the plan.
How bad did it hurt?
I drove home with a stick shift pickup truck after
Okay.
it was over. That was challenging. The doctor didn't want me to leave, and I, manned up. A bag of peas and a weekend, and I was a little, I wasn't doing martial arts for a couple weeks, but I was okay.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
I just got to ask. I mean, we don't have to get too detailed on it. Is it just shooting blanks or is it nothing?
There's something, but there's no sperm going.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like vaporware afterwards.
Guys, we gotta stick to the voicemails, or you never know what we're gonna talk about.
Exactly. Give us more voicemails, and we'll be talking about this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's a good conversation to have, man. I mean, if you get it,
There's prostate. I mean, I'm 50. Welcome to 50s.
dude, last time, oh my god, it was actually around the time of my divorce. I think it's been, I can tell you, it was 6 years ago. Big man came in. Big man said, "Hey, you got to get your prostate checked." And I was like, "Oh, the hell, I don't."
Using the whole fist.
I'm scarred, dude. I'm scarred. And he even looked at me. He's like, "You need to be getting this a couple times a year." He's like, "You're a little enlarged." And I was like, "No, you're a little enlarged."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a small little demure woman with very skinny fingers, not some sausage hand.
It's our pride again too, but no, it is very uncomfortable too, right? Like we don't want to talk about that, but and one of my favorite. You're a rock and roll guy. I know you guys see your swords and stuff in the back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know you'll love this guy. He made this right here. But I listened to Mr. Robert James Dio talking about like he was that guy and was like, no, I don't want to do that. He was like, had he just went and got those sooner, he
He'd still
probably
be
would
here.
still be alive, man.
He'd still be here. Yeah.
One of the greatest voices in rock and roll history, too, man.
Oh, Rainbow in the Dark.
Oh my God, dude. It was crazy. I can't believe I didn't think of it. You know, Cheryl had posted a meme on here yesterday and was like, name a song that's got man in the title. And one of the first ones I saw was Man on the Silver Mountain by Rainbow. I said, yes. Oh, dude. If you guys haven't listened to Dio, he is the one that created the rock and roll song.
Yes, he is.
Gene Simmons did not. He did not. All right. 2 more calls. We're knocking them down. 762-441-0281. Get your prostate checked.
Hey, this is Dan from St. Louis. Yeah, the whole child support issue, yeah, that's a joke. Here in St. Louis County in Missouri, right off the get-go. Parenting plan put me $48,000 in arrears, even though I was paying the mortgage, utilities, while the kids and the ex-wife still lived in the house. And then her attorney, Sleeves attorney, added an extra almost, $18,000 to my salary that I did not make, never did make, never would make, just to increase child support payments. It went from $1,800 to almost $1,500, and then when I took her to court, which cost me another $6,000 to $7,000, it only dropped by $100. I don't understand that. It is 2022. I haven't seen my kids in a year and a half. She's falsified an order of protection. She hasn't filed a parenting plan, but yet I'm the bad guy. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have money for legal expenses at this point anymore, and frankly, I just don't give a shit. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. Thanks.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you. You know what, dude? As long as we ain't dropping no F-bombs, like you guys are okay with that. And I mean, because I've held it back for so long myself. It's like you should hear me when I'm not on the podcast, right? But you know, just hearing these situations, brother. Dwayne, you got some thoughts on that one?
Well, I'm a St. Louis boy myself. That's
Are you?
I was born and raised. Yeah, little small town outside of St. Louis, Portage de Sioux, population of about 100, about 1,000 or so people.
Was it me? Or is Dwayne not on? Dwayne, are you there? Check 1 2.
There we are.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're the cast, the podcast kicked out there for a second. But anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, small little town. Yeah, grew up. So yeah, very familiar with St. Louis. Many. Actually, my grandmother lived out on the hill. I know I'm not allowed to say the old school name for the hill, but yeah, definitely a lot of time in St. Louis. I still talk fondly about Emo's Pizza, but
no! You're not bringing that up. Into what is that? What kind of pizza?
Emo's Pizza, the square beyond compare. You have not lived until you've had Emo's Pizza.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I gotta try it. I love all pizza. That is one thing I do not discriminate against. I discriminate against the toppings. Give me sausage, pepperoni, cheese, but that's about it. But I'll eat any pizza. There's no such thing as bad pizza.
Well, if you get to St. Louis, Emo's Pizza, the square beyond compare. When I, yeah, whenever I get a chance to get back to Missouri, that's the first place I go.
There's another story too, Missouri or Missouri. I've heard them called both. Where does the Missouri come from?
I don't know. Maybe it's now my southern twang. Now that I've been down in Texas for so long, I don't know. Is Missouri, Missouri? Is it Illinois or Illinois? There's an S on the end, but
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for the calls. If you got any thoughts on Kanye, you're not going to have long to do this. I literally got to get off of here and record 2 more podcasts, and we've been going for 3 hours. So I am going to have to end the show sometime soon. But if you got some thoughts on the Kanye situation, I need to get them in pretty quick. It is 762-441-0281. Again, that's 762-441-0281. Talking about $200,000 a month in child support. Is it necessary? Is that support or is that a lifestyle? All right, guys, we're going to get to our last caller.
Hey, good morning. This is Bobby. Just wanted to chime in on the child support topic and kind of shed some light on the situation that I was placed in. I had my children taken from me and my home taken from me. I was forced to pay $1,661 a month for 2 children in South Alabama, along with $1,000 a month alimony. So right at $2,700 a month after they also took everything else from me. That's all while, keeping health insurance on the children, myself, and covering 71% of out-of-pocket medical expenses. It's wild what they were able to do in court. This was not based off of a W-2. They had multiple W-2s for 2 years that they could have used on me, and they still imputed my income to about $30,000 higher than the highest W-2 that they had in their hand. They were able to do this just out of sheer, resentment towards me, or just to try to help her in any way they could, give her every comfort they could while snatching every one away from me that I could provide for myself. It's a touchy subject. It gets me really angry and fired up because I've had to file Rule 59 motion to get them to concede to making a $331 mistake on child support in her favor. Now my child support is $1,348. It cost me $5,900 to get them to admit to that. I'm in the middle of a appeal here in the state of Alabama, and I'm hoping that some changes are going to come that's going to be for the better of my future and the future of that of my children. Right now, I feel like obviously the state did not make the best decision in my children's future. In fact, my children were what was not even thought about in this situation. It was all for her benefit. You never see something like this being a part of your life until it's knocking at your front door, and this is kind of where you're at.
That's it, man.
It's tough, and it's tough to figure out the whys and the hows and where to go from here. And just one day at a time, and the best advice I can give anybody is pay those payments, pay them on time, and just try to ride it out the best you can. And always just keep that relationship as strong as you can with your children, no matter what your ex may be trying to put you through. Good luck to all you guys. Hopefully I got some good news of a change coming my. Hey, good morning.
I cut him off. Sweet home, Alabama. Oh my God, man. So being a Georgia boy myself, I could tell he was from somewhere close by because Dwayne, I don't realize it. I think I sound normal. And then I hear the replay. My wife had put it on or something. I'm like, oh my God, who in the world is that? That little yokel right there made me think of like Forrest Gump when he's like, Alabama. Yeah. But dude, I'm right here on the Alabama line by Fort Benning, which one of the bigger Army bases. And I have seen, as bad as Georgia is, some of these guys paying double in areas that make less money. That is another state. They're very, very hard on the dads. It's just, it's still got that antiquated system that mom is the caretaker, dad is the paycheck. His life is to work. Yeah. And I hate, man. What's your thoughts, brother?
I mean, again, a lot of these have the same, theme as far as child support. He did mention the imputed income.
Yep.
That's yet another, imputed income, again, it's what the court feel. And again, I get the reason why they wrote the law, but imputed income is what they feel that a person should be able to earn. And that's if a person's underemployed intentionally, they're working a part-time job where they have a PhD and they could be earning, $100,000, but they're working at a part-time job on the weekend to only earn a little bit. They're trying to get out of their system, out of the system, which overall is a good thing. But so they impute wages. And it was funny, and you see the disparity, and again, it's based on that income shared model why they do it. But so when usually the man or whoever the person end up paying child support, again, usually the man, also the woman, but they come in, they say, okay, this person is a bus driver, and they should make $40,000 a year. He's making 32. We're going to impute income up to 40, and that's what that whole previous caller said. You should get a better job. You should do this. This is what they're doing, trying to get their numbers pumped up. What's funny is they don't do it on the other side. They impute the wages if a person's intentionally unemployed, doesn't want to work, whatever. They'll impute their wages at minimum wage,
Right.
which is ridiculous because name one minimum wage. What's minimum wage at? $7.50 or whatever it is an hour. Name one. There isn't. They either pay $8, $9, whatever dollars an hour. There's not one that pays the bare minimum wage. Generally, I'm sure there is one out there.
Not anymore, especially not after the unemployment and the pandemic.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah. No. Trust me. All right, guys, we are hitting that 3-hour mark, and I'm sorry to cut it short. Sorry, guys. Nah, dude, thank you. We said we was going to get to the voicemails. We did. And we're just clearing up the voicemails, I think, from the first day. At this moment, I've got twice as many that we had before sitting there, and we're still taking them. Phone lines are open. 762-441-0281. If you're somebody that's been paying child support for their child that's not yours, started off, say, paternity fraud, when you get on that voicemail, I want people to hear about these stories. I can't imagine what you're going. All these stories. One good thing I can say, lots of good things, right? But one thing that really makes me feel good, Dwayne, about the hours that we've spent over the past couple of weeks is look how many people just got a voice that is probably living these laws and feeding that system that feels like nobody knows who they are and nobody knows what they're going through. How many people got a voice in the past couple of weeks? And that's what it's about. Empowering, encouraging you guys, and letting you know that you're not alone. So thank you. I can tell there was people that stayed here for the whole 3 hours. God bless you.
Yeah.
How you can look at these two faces for 3 hours? I swear, I don't know how you're going to do it. But as you see, there is a banner there at the bottom of the screen that I just picked up, Venmo. There's other ways that you can donate to Dad Talk, but this one in particular is the one that I'm wanting you to use because I want to keep it separate. 100% of the proceeds, guys, not coming to us. We are adopting a dad for Christmas. And I will tell you, I think while I was on, because the messages was coming up, it looks like there was a $500 Amazon card that somebody picked up and said, go sponsor some dads.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll show you the receipts. They might not show you the receipts, but and I want to get pictures and stuff so you guys can see the difference that we can make when our brothers come together and make a difference for somebody else out there that needs it. Here was the guy earlier, 9 months that he can't work. He's still on that child support. There's so many horror stories, and I wish we could be there for every single one of you guys. And I promise you, anytime you donate to this platform, if you donate down there, it's 100% of the proceeds. I'm going to put some of what I got towards it myself. I promise you I am. But anytime something comes into this platform, we're going to turn it right back around and funnel it to this community, man, because we've needed this platform for a very long time. We need this place to vent. You need it. I need it. Dwayne, you need it. We all need that place to say, this is what the hell I've been going through. And Iowa can kiss my ass.
As my daddy would say, mark a spot.
Mark a spot.
Yeah, I made a mistake of telling him that one day when I was younger. It didn't end well for me. Yeah, got a little lip on me, and it didn't end well. So on the family that we're helping out, is that the one that we've received the text on? We have a growing list. So I don't know if we need to give that number out or
no. So the Cheryl's keeping up with it, and I know we're like all in a group chat on that. The problem has been, Dwayne, there's so many stories coming in. Yeah. And it's like, which one should we say, this is the one that Dad Talk's sponsoring, because it makes, here you are trying to do a good thing and you feel guilty for doing it because you find out you can't help everybody. And that is the hard thing, guys. If you're going to be in here and you're going to fight, you're going to hear so many stories. You're going to get messages day in, day out. This is my story. This is what I'm going through. I need help. I need a GoFundMe. I need work. I like work shoes, diapers. I hear everybody is needing something. And there's only so much that you can do. But look, 600,000 people that follow these social channels. Could you imagine if everybody did a little bit? Look, if everybody did one little act of kindness today, 600,000 people that did acts of kindness, that makes change. If you donate $1, that's $600,000. I'll go out there and adopt, how many dollars does it say? I'll go out there and donate 600 dads, it would spend $1,000 a piece or something. There's got to be something. And I know once we start doing it in our community, the rest of the world's going to see it catch on, and then they'll come and step in. Right now, it's up to us to come here and foster that conversation and make the world want to get involved. Because right now, to talk about dads, to do dad talk, is not something that they can attach to. There's many of these corporations out there. They know what you're going through, but they can't get involved because they lose their women votes or stockholders. I mean, we can go as deep as you want to go. I had a movement when I started this thing that told me to take the dad out of Dad Talk. And it was people, a lot of them in like the shared parenting community. You need to take dad out of Dad Talk. You should call it Parent Talk. I was like, the hell I am, man.
Yeah.
You go start Parent Talk. Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to get you on trademark. You want to go start Parent Talk? Go do Parent Talk.
Do it.
I am Dad Talk. That's the problem in the first place. Everybody wants to take the dad out. We're keeping the dad in, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to make it to where everybody else wants to come and be a part of this. And that starts with you guys. 600,000 people doing something like that. Man, don't tell me we can't make change. If even 1,000 of you, realistically, if one of you, it might not have changed the world, but you changed the world for one person. So, all right, Dwayne. Hey, man, when we getting back on here and doing this, I'm going to be doing this for the next week. We are planning on being all on child support. I got a couple of experts coming on in the past week, but Dwayne, I'm sure we will be back on here doing this again. They don't want to sit here and listen to my mouth flap off by myself.
Yeah, well, anytime I'm back to work next week, but we'll, as we were talking, figure out a time to get things recorded, get some information. Actually, one thing I know we're at the end here, but questions that people have about Title 4D. I've done it. A lot of people have a lot of good knowledge on it. What are questions people have? Like, what don't they understand about Title 4D? That was one of the things I did want to bring up, is have people ask those questions and then we can answer them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm going to try to touch on that. Especially tomorrow. Carnell Smith is one of the most. Oh my God. Good hands with Carnell. He sat down and was explaining Title IV to me in ways that I had never heard. And it's all a facade, man. I mean, the way that they've set this thing up, there's more ways than just the 66 cents that they're profiting.
Right.
Okay. It goes much deeper than that. That's the one that everybody's got on there. Oh, they're taking a percentage of the child support. They're taking a lot more than that, guys. Yeah. And you know what? There's the other part of the conversation. It's not just Title 4D. We've got E. There's Title X. There's all these different things going on right now, and it will blow you guys' minds. This is our laws. Yeah. So we're going to get in them. So, but you let me know when you can get back on here and do this, and then we'll do it again. I mean, if you guys get the calls going in, it's 3 hours we're at now. So, like I said, if Dwayne ain't here, you can listen to me talking about shooting blanks and getting prostate exams.
Maybe that might be a good podcast. Go in and show how it's done.
And you don't want to see that. I would lose every one of my followers. This is not the ass that's going to bring all the people to the yard. Damn right. My milkshake is not better than yours. It might be better than some of you guys, But I mean, I was blessed with many things, but that was not one of them. So I feel just as sorry for the guy that's got to do the exam as I do myself. Yeah. I know what comes out of there.
Okay.
Dude, that was, yeah.
No, that was good.
I've missed having fun with Dad Talk.
Oh, yeah.
I've missed having fun. It felt like you had to do politics. You have to do all these different things because of the optics, dude. We're just going to come in here. We're going to be dads. And I guarantee you there's a politician out there. He's getting prostate exams and vasectomies and all this stuff too, man. Learn to live. We're all the same.
Yeah.
All the same.
Especially to the proctologists. We all look the same.
Mark Esquivel, another good advocate. He said he was blessed with these nuts. He said these nerves. I'm gonna have to make that a new one, dude. Like when we was traveling the country, we was bored out of our mind. 3,600 miles in a car in like a little over a week. It was ridiculous. We did 20 something states, like in a 2.5 week run, and these nuts became the thing.
These nuts.
It's like you pass a sign or something. It was D's nuts, everything, and it was funny.
Hell yeah,
D's nuts are funny, and D's nuts are getting off this podcast because I got to go do another podcast.
Figure those D's nuts are full. I'm assuming
D's nuts got him. Got him. All right, guys, love you, Dwayne. We'll do it again, brother.
All right, see you later.
Never stop.